chat. There we are, right, chat. Welcome in. We are live. The REMINGTOM podcast is back on the Friday night. We got basketball back in the mix, chat. Hey, yo, the WNBA Finals is here, so we're gonna throw the WNBA Finals on in the background. Like I said a couple of live streams ago, and I meant it, chat. I meant it when I said, hey, yo. I guess pivoting sports quickly, but we said a couple live streams ago that we were interested in throwing on the baseball playoffs in the background, just like, hey, we might just have this on a little bit, just kind of keep an eye on what's going on. I guess, of course, because we're still waiting for we don't have sports 7 days a week yet, chat, with basketball not back. Hey, yo, it is what it is. So, we got to throw the sports on that are on. So, we were going to ESPN to go watch baseball. Hey, yo, chat, it is what it is. But even better, the WNBA Finals, shout out. A'ja Wilson is, of course, looking to get back another title, cap off another amazing, stats slash impact slash just, I guess MVP. She won the MVP, so, simply put it, another MVP season. Hey, yo, chat, we're watching, like we said, we need a basketball fix. And, of course, we'll pretend to be Aces fans, just out of respect for the actual Aces fans. We're not going to sit here and be like, oh, we're enduring the schedule and the emotional ups and downs and the roller coaster of the season. Because make no mistake, when the season, it looked like it was going to be kind of a mid-year, like it was last year. Like, yeah, last year, I guess, and I guess there's, what is a good year versus a bad year? Maybe the line's a little finer in the WNBA because of the fewer amount of teams. But, last year was still a mid-year for the Aces, just as a league, just as a team in the league in general. They were still okay, but from the expectation for being a championship team, all that stuff, obviously it was a couple steps back, a little bit disappointing. So it looked like this season was going to be at least that, and really, of course, what it was last year. I mean, was A'ja Wilson being awesome, and sometimes maybe not always having, a couple other awesome stats people as well too in the game to kind of help complement the performance. But it looked like it was going to be that again this year, and I guess in some parts, she won the MVP, so to some degree, I guess she did have the stats part as well too. But 30 wins, they have the best record of the two teams in the finals. So, and they were the second best team in the regular season, anyways. So, the problem being the Mercury already took down the Link. Hey, yo, but I don't know. Maybe we just trust A'ja Wilson's playoff battle toughness though a little bit more. No disrespect to Collier, obviously, but it is what it is. A'ja Wilson is the legacy is piling up, chat. It is what it is. I mean, the finals. I mean, just even this year alone, like we're saying, getting the team back to the finals is something that you definitely have to add to the resume for sure. But then the way Jackie Young was looking in that last playoff game, putting up 30 points as well, does give you, of course, because like we're saying, we definitely had the best player in the series, but the balance, I mean, is what makes the Mercury so scary when they're all healthy and all at the peak of their powers. It's really scary, 5-person lineup that they can throw out there. So is it going to be the total teamness, I guess, versus if it has to, at times, I guess, be A'ja Wilson going the sort of superhero mode. But that would be, I guess, the hope would be, and not to say that superhero mode would be off the table as well. Again, she was awesome in that last game that they played, the elimination game against the Fever, but just again have the help as well too to be able to elevate the rest of the team. So this game is they're I guess they're cutting back to some locker room speeches. We're still getting ready to jump it up and get ready. Okay, they're lining up, Chad. Here we go. Game 1 WNBA Finals. Let's go. And then NBA's right here, so we get the WNBA Finals. It only goes 7 games. I was gonna say 5-game series, but yeah, 7 games. So this is perfect. This will take us right into the NBA. Hey, yo, I mean, basketball is. We have to remember the Big 3 schedule is. I mean, we really can watch basketball 24/7 all year round, 24/7 and 365. Hey, well, maybe not the 24/7 part yet, but maybe we're getting closer to the 365. Who knows? Ooh, the Aces did win the season series as well too. It says they won the season series 3-1. So I mean, that's a playoff series pretty convincingly. Hopefully it's a good matchup as well. And the Wilson versus Thomas matchup is of course going to be the one to keep an eye on. Thomas versus Collier. I mean, we could go back and look at Collier's numbers, and maybe it was a little bit of that as well too. Like we were saying with the superhero effect for her having to be just put up dominant stats. or whatever. I mean, we were necessarily going through the box score, so again, I don't really know. But early start, I guess we got 2-0 for Vegas on the ESPN, but we haven't quite logged a point yet on the actual feed yet. So, ayo, and the Mercury had the ball. So, quick turnover into a 2, maybe? Who knows? Oh, no, that easy look around the, a little floater chat. Ayo, it is what it is, get going early on, first quarter. Asia Wilson, top of the key, chat. I mean, money, we'll take it. But we also, of course, got to revisit the Thursday night game as well, too. Last night's game versus the Rams and the Niners. Turns out we're getting drama on Thursday night, chats. It is what it is. The last couple of games have at least been close. I don't know if the Bills-Dolphins game was necessarily, again, a great game, but at least it was competitive. It was still a average game, maybe slightly below average, like a C- level of play game, but again, still close, still at least like, is Miami gonna potentially win this? This a little bit, of course, higher level, and still, I guess, all the drama at the end as well too. But the quarterback controversy has started, Chad, and Al Michaels was like on the broadcast being like, hey, I don't want to get anything going. I don't want to stir up the San Francisco fans, but, is there a debate? And I'm pretty sure they had Mac Jones in the offseason as well too. So, I mean, I guess they could have gotten really, really gutsy and just moved on for Purdy. But again, there was a battle there. It's not like the Purdy thing was an easy re-signing. I mean, maybe that's just how, I guess negotiations. Hey, yo, Chad, of course, Michael B told us in Sinners that, we gotta negotiate. You just can't accept the first offer. So, we gotta maybe give the NBA guys, just the athletes in general, a little bit more respect in the holdout stuff. But, I guess, and I don't remember exactly how much of a holdout it ended up being. But it was a little bit, of course, of a debate, and they did have to, I guess it was up until recently, I believe, that he ended up signing that contract. Probably one of the later, of course, major moves that was done in the offseason. But they could have traded, they probably could have traded him as well, too. I mean, I guess maybe would have had more value than, I don't know, maybe of course, I guess we could go read the blogs, the Brock Purdy blogs, and see if there were the same offers around the league, or at least close enough offers where it's like, okay, a trade, a start, we'll make compromises both ways and get a deal done. But if they did actually think that Mac Jones, and I guess, maybe just having multiple options as well too, and a security in Purdy, I mean, I guess, hot take, they could actually believe that Purdy is also a pretty good quarterback. But there is the draft history with Mac Jones and the 49ers as well too. And who knows, maybe one day Trey Lance will end up back on the Niners as well, and he'll have his little tenure of, being a guy that Shanahan revived. I mean, the problem with, of course, Lance is that he ended up starting on the Niners because they ended up drafting him over Mac Jones. So, alternate timeline where Mac Jones gets drafted and then Trey Lance has the start to his career. Not necessarily, maybe he still has a year of development or two, but maybe he ends up back on the Niners, or I guess not back on the Niners at that point, but ends up on the Niners, ends up with like 350 yards in just a random Monday night game, and I guess I don't know if he would be starting in any fantasy leagues at that point. The Mac Jones fantasy start would have been bold this week because the Thursday night game, of course, a short week is a pretty tough move, going up against a pretty good Rams pass rush as well too, and he is moving around early. And at least, he was taking, of course, some contact later in the game. I mean, there's that clip of him getting hit pretty good in the fourth quarter. But you see him at least, make the quick decisions, of course, that results in the completions are the ones that are obviously, the most notable. But at least that time it's a quick decision into sort of a grounded play. I think there's a flag. We got the chat. We're going back to the all-22. It is what it is. This game, I guess, deserves the film. We got to see, how is Kendrick Bourne getting open? It did feel like it was, definitely a lot of underneath routes for our guy. I mean, and you got to credit for him for creating after the catch as well, too. That play right there is him kind of, I guess, the play that we're watching right now, The all-22, I don't know why they can't just add a timestamp or two on there, but they got him, of course, going under pause one of the receivers, little drag route style, and then he is able to take it up the field and get back. Basically, picks up the first down plus as well. And I believe they end up going down and scoring on this first drive early too. But and Purdy, we have liked, at least the fact that there has been some maybe more aggressiveness with him this year in his pass attempts, and it does show that at least I don't know if he's seeing everything perfect, but again, at least there is a confidence that he's trying to play with that is at least manifesting itself in the plays. To some degree, I guess whether or not they're successful or not is still being worked out. But the Jones thing, and again, Shanahan is, and I was looking at the stats as well too. It ended up being a little bit of a busy day at the restaurant, but there is a couple minutes before it starts where we're like, let me just hit the Pro Football Reference. But there was make sure I never remember to close out of that tab now that I think about it. So it's just sitting up there on that iPad. So it is what it is. It'll be ready for us on when we go back to work. But I was thinking, watching this game, about some of the again, it felt like a lot of some of this underneath stuff that he was hitting throughout the course of the game. Shouted again the quick decisions, but like to contrast that with Purdy again with his, what also we're saying, just eye test kind of extra aggressive. I guess we could maybe look at passing charts. I don't know, chat. That's scary. Then I actually have we actually have to be accountable for what we're watching here. So let's actually, maybe do they have the passing chart up for last night? Let's hope not, chat. But at least we can see Purdy's and see if he is pushing it down the field, pause, as much as we think he might be, because it'll have his incompletions and stuff on here as well too. Bourne's route tree, I guess here, let's look at that. So they do have the Thursday night games as well too. Is this this if you're watching the streamer, the pod on Spotify later, this one that the cursor is over right here is the early play that we were just talking about, where he ends up taking it up the sideline right here, because I think that's, pretty obvious, but definitely his only route that kind of works like that. But for passing, anyways, let's see what we've got here. We did see Mac Jones. He is able to work up the sidelines a little bit. 40, 50 passes in a game, you're gonna probably spread it out a little bit over the course of the game. But he is, you see, of course, attacking just him and Kendrick Bourne, just this easy drop, him going to his left. Just, do we count the steps here and see, 3 steps, 2 steps in the, pause, the ball's out. But, Kendrick, he was winning on a lot of those routes as well, too. So I don't know, we paid more attention. Zone coverage, man. But this feels, I guess, the Niners were on defense. The Niners were definitely in man, because make no mistake, Lenore was getting worked by Puka Nacua, chat. It is what it is. He cooked Howard last week for the Colts. Shout out. Xavier Howard, who I don't know if he is necessarily at the peak of his powers at this point, but he was just absolutely getting worked by Puka. And I don't know, it was to the point where it's almost, it does get to the point with some of these cornerback matchups where it actually, I think, is detrimental to not detrimental, but it does, I think, become more a fault of the coaching. And maybe not a fault. Maybe the coaching is like literally just going, okay, like it's the NBA version of get your 40 points and let the rest of the guys try to score. Like, okay, Puka's going to get open, but it feels a little different in the NFL than it does in the NBA. And I don't know, sometimes, you're like, okay, well, I guess if, we're going to get Jokic get every bucket, then Jokic is going to make every bucket, or, whoever the star player is. But if you're gonna let Puka have these, if you're gonna have Nacua, I don't know, 12, chat. I don't know what we call it. If you're gonna have 12, I don't know, 12. I don't want to get anybody confused, but we got our guy Puka. Honestly, we'd rather call it Puka than 12. It is what it is. So shout out, I guess. Is that Tom Brady? Is that other things? I don't know, but if you're gonna just let Puka get open every time in these one-on-one matchups. We know Stafford's going to definitely take advantage. Make no mistake. I guess in the NBA, Stafford's the guy that's just going to run the pick and roll every time. Oh, chat, sailing it right over Atwell's head early. Is that the sign that he's like, well, I just have to throw it to Nacua as well? I don't know, chat. Stafford only good with tall receivers. Calvin Johnson, Puka. I guess Cooper Kupp was. Yeah, I guess Cooper Kupp's not a short receiver, but I guess we wouldn't put him in the tall receiver category. You almost want to call it the Megatron category now, but that's like a totally different thing almost. More so than just a tall receiver. The 6'4" and up or whatever. I guess maybe Puka. I don't know, 6'3". Maybe he's just again a really sort of physical 6'2". I don't know, but again he was putting up crazy stats in this one as well. But I guess look at Purdy. I guess the middle of the field as well too. He definitely in week 4, I guess as well. But yeah, definitely a little bit more into the middle of the field for sure. I mean, obviously it's being shown right there on the passing chart, and you see the interceptions in kind of similar spots as well. I guess shout out Gino chat, just all 3 of his picks right here. It is what it is. But that is definitely a little bit more risky, and you love the fact that I guess to some degree that he is willing to take those chances as a quarterback. But it has definitely been a little bit more costly this year than it has been for the Mac Jones version of the offense. Let's see if we can just get San Francisco filtered into the mix here. But again, just looking at some of the basic like yards per attempt type stuff, and there is the adjusted, you can go like even yards per completion, I guess, as well too, or air yards. I guess I didn't look at air yards, chat. Ooh, here, let's look at that real fast, because it did seem like it was equal in a lot of it, and it was even showing Jones. Oh, again, maybe Jones is actually, like the distance the passes are traveling is actually further. Who knows? But I guess the stats know, the people that are watching knows. But the windows again that Purdy is throwing into are definitely a little bit more risky. But can we go advanced stats for Purdy for 2025? Let's see if we get air yards here. Intended yards per pass. Okay, 7.8. But I think now that I'm remembering, maybe I did see this. And maybe Mac Jones is a little bit higher as well too. So Pro Football Reference wouldn't necessarily have the breakdown in terms of where on the field he is throwing to. They would just have some of the distance stuff. Oh, he is a little bit farther down the field. Okay, so yeah, almost a full yard plus. Purdy is at 7.8 intended air yards, and Mac Jones is sitting at 6.6, almost 6.5 right now. 5.7 average completed yards. Average completed. I guess that's for. Oh no, yeah, for the 3 games. I was saying that was for his career, but yeah, for the 3 games that he's played this year, it is 5.7. And you see the lowest completed air yards per attempt was actually in last night's game, under 5 as well too. So Mahomes is definitely going into definitely with some of the too high safety stuff in the league. Obviously maybe there's more opportunity in different spots of the field, but this is like some Rodgers stuff here, Chad. Hey, the quickness of these passes, again, it was working. He was feeding Bourne, and he was definitely winning his matchups. And if you are, of course, getting it out, like that, then then you're not necessarily getting the pass rush time to get in the mix the same type of way. And he is doing a good job of stepping up. And again, if he's not pushing the ball down the field in the same type of way and focusing on some of the easier throws, at least they're not negative plays this year, versus Purdy. At least they've kind of turned into some turnovers at times, versus at least you live to see another play, maybe even some positive yardage, but it doesn't always have to be too crazy. But yeah, here, let's see. Complete, and then yards after the catch for him as well too, 4.8 on the season. So I don't know if that's going to be crazier than Purdy's. Yeah, Purdy's is higher as well too. But yeah, for Purdy's completed, he's almost a yard higher than. Wait, what's PA completed yards per completion? Versus completed yards per pass attempt. So in the last game, and speaking of checkdowns, Purdy completed yards per pass attempt, but the ones that he was actually getting complete were pushed down the field a little bit as well. So maybe Mac Jones just sticking to the script a little bit more, but Either way, again, the lack of turnovers for him and the fact that, their kicking game has been fixed as well, too, a little bit earlier on. Those are just maybe 6 to 9 point. Hey, 6 to 9 points that you're going to be 6 to 7 points. Hey, I don't know, but 6 to 9 points that you're leaving on the board potentially every game just by having a fumble or a turnover right before you're in field goal range, or not knowing what your kicker is going to be capable of, or him, just missing the field goal as well too. And their kicker was a little, I would say, the end result was fine. But the flight path, chat, the show your work element for the end result was definitely a little crazy for the Niners in this one. There was a couple of field goals where you're like, oh, is that going to go left? And then he did pull it back in. And I don't know if they set up on the same hash for a couple of those field goals, but it did seem like he was kind of having the same sort of, but the same sort of curve is crazy. But you get what we're saying there, Chad. The flight path for all the kicks kind of ended up on the same line and kind of worked their way back inside the left upright. But they haven't had a crazy run game this year as well, because McCaffrey has been good in the overall stats, but I wouldn't say that his running stats have been. And if he hits a steady average, then they are, of course, going to obviously accumulate over the course of the year. But I don't know if it's been the most dominant thing game to game. They haven't even had 100 rush yards since week 1, and they had 119 in that game as well. So it's not like as a team it was the craziest game. And they lead the league in passing yards in general. So again, you can lead the league in passing yards and still, I guess, run for 100 yards a game. I guess as a team, that's still not super crazy. And with Purdy, again, you still get some mobility there at quarterback as well. 16 first downs, though, for McCaffrey from a running back perspective. And he does lead the league in attempts as well, too. Where's his yards per attempt? Oh, yeah, only 3. Only at 3 yards an attempt right now, I guess, as a team. Let's see here. Brian Robinson at 4, chat. 27 carries for Brian Robinson, 108 yards. I guess you also got Sky Moore taking a carry. I don't know if we need to go through their roster and see, but again, you trade for Brian Robinson. Not only you expect him to be, I guess, the main backup, but also, a guy that you could actually get some carries for over the course of a game. But maybe there is a little bit more of a mix with him as a runner, and it does become interesting. I mean, McCaffrey would still ultimately give you the versatility, and with the defense is out there, sort of the lack of not knowing what's going on. But Brian Robinson is a little bit of a passing threat as well, too. Again, he's not McCaffrey. McCaffrey also 17 passing first downs. So wait, do we have a total first downs here, chat? Am I reading this right? 17 passing first downs and 16 rushing first downs. So 33 total for our guy. I don't even, that might be more than just some quarterbacks as well, too. It really might just be like Lamar, maybe Josh Allen, but I assume James Cook has a lot of first downs to start the year as well. So maybe Lamar is the only guy. But, Lamar's been getting sacked in the last couple of games. Not a lot of first downs for Lamar. Goff, Amon-Ra, nobody individually on the Lions. I guess maybe outside of Gibbs, because, again, he could have the balance. But he's not going to have 30 first downs, I don't think, early on. I guess, chat. Should we doubt our guy Gibbs? Let's see here. I'm not doubting him from the rushing. Does he have 15 receiving first downs? Would be a little rich early on. Yeah, so he does have 16 rushing touchdowns, but only 9 receiving touchdowns. So he's right there, getting close. Last year, wait a second, only 2. We're giving him credit for his longest reception of the year is 9 yards. But only 2 receiving first downs. So 16 rushing is correct, but only 2 receiving. So last year he was at 70-25, almost the 100 first down club. Do we need to make that a category, chat? Guys that got 100 first downs in a year. That is an interesting stat to look at. And, Montgomery, again, has been good this year as well, too. So you're still getting other guys in the mix. And you got McCaffrey right there. The little motion, and he splits out to wide receiver. you throw him the little move screen quarterback kind of rolling out a little bit. McCaffrey just one-on-one, kind of back shoulder-ish, turning away, spinning around, gets the easy touchdown look. Fantasy owners everywhere are looking pretty happy with McCaffrey right now. See, they did, when they kicked the extra point, they did set up from the right hash. And when they were kicking a couple of those field goals, I think they were kicking from the left hash. So maybe there is actually something to his kicks going a little bit on that Ayo. But, having that left curve, Ayo, Piñeiro's got left curve. And I don't know, it's a good thing we don't have aggregators over here, Chet. We might get a lawsuit over here on the Rem and Sam pod. We're talking about his kicks. But anyway, it's still getting, I guess, either way, both of them are sketchy and barely making it. But the Rams, of course, were able to fight back. Of course, the Stafford Nakua thing is crazy, but it really is, I think, a little bit this year the Nakua thing. And Stafford is still very much more capable, but still I think one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't know if there is MVP potential with him. He seems like obviously the tiers are starting to form right now. It seems like he'd be on a little bit of a tier on the outside looking in. But again, for Puka, I was thinking our guy JT would be or Justin Timberlake obviously would win Offensive Player of the Year. I was thinking our guy Jonathan Taylor would win Offensive Player, or maybe Offensive Player of the Year for sure. But maybe MVP ballot as well too. I guess they might go a little bit hand in hand, but maybe you could have 3 quarterbacks on the MVP ballot. But I guess maybe one of those quarterbacks probably win Offensive Player of the Year at that point. But or maybe you could have 2 defenders on the MVP ballot, a quarterback, a defensive player, and a kicker. And then you leave the other offensive players off? I don't know. But it was looking like it was going to be our guy Taylor. And now Puka is, really with the stats over the last couple of games, seeming like he might be on pace for taking that award as well. And again, for importance of the offense, I think Daniel Jones to Stafford, what they're capable of, I would still, Stafford's got a little bit more legacy at this point. I think we'd have to trust Stafford. And, there is maybe some fourth quarter stuff. That just with the veteran time in the league, that you would just still trust his command of situations, and he still has obviously the physical ability to go out there for certain games that we'll see over the course of the season, I guess, for this year. But game to game, if he's listed as healthy, then it's like, okay, we're trusting him to go. But the importance that he has right now, where you can get him those easy passes, or if Stafford is cooking and he's looking for guys on the field, then, like we're saying, he can only throw to tall receivers. So Puka is the guy he has to look for. And Kyron's been very good this year as well, too, until we get to the fourth quarter fumble on the goal line. And I guess that's, also just a major point in this game as well, too. But Stafford has been a little bit more of a floor general this year than he has been sort of a go-to late game situation type guy. And it really has been them feeding those chat. It has been them feeding those 2 skill guys a lot this year, and that is, like we're saying, how the McVay and the Stafford, I mean, if McVay always overutilizes his running backs, and Stafford always with his receivers as well too. So there is both of those perfect storms in the mix for Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua to get a lot of looks and a lot of touches and a lot of opportunity. But they definitely need them to kind of work with Stafford a little bit. And, Devontae Adams is still new to the team, I guess. But he did seem out of sync with Adams with Stafford. I guess, he did with Adams. I guess it's still grammatically correct. But, maybe. But those 2 guys still did not seem fully locked in for where to be on the route stuff in the zone, and Stafford would kind of be throwing where he thought Adams should stop, and then Adams would move and then cut on the next route or stop on the next route, and then it's like, oh no, actually that's the time you should have broke, and now I'm throwing the break. And Devontae Adams still maybe he's lost it, Chet. I don't know. Again, the media is all former quarterbacks, so they all just say receivers run bad routes. But maybe Adams is just like not only maybe it's not even the physical thing that's gone for Adams. Maybe he just like, okay, I forgot how to run routes and forgot what the playbook is, and really I have no idea what I'm doing. Hey yo, and that's right, Corum fumbled earlier in the game as well too. So 2 big running back fumbles, and maybe for Corum this is the best thing. The Kyron is the best thing to have, because now it's like, you know, you can't necessarily. I guess you can put both the guys in sort of a carries restriction. Hey yo, I mean, you're definitely not gonna do it with Kyron, but maybe it's like, okay, if the lead guy fumbled, then you can't not. Yeah, you know, if you're gonna play him, but then all of a sudden punish Blake Corum for fumbling as well, it would seem a little bit like, okay, that it's just like. Obviously, you need a running back at some point for the offense. But maybe you just have Pook at running back. And you can still telegraph it, and it literally doesn't matter because he is just playing that well right now. And the only thing that would make us hesitant at this point for him in any kind of 17-game situation is, again, the 17-game situation where is it going to be not too much targets, but it is a lot of work, obviously. And there is probably going to be a moment where he's going to need, the body's going to need a break in the season. It might even break itself, you know, who knows. But I guess, you know, obviously we're trying not to say that like in a major way, but, you know, maybe just a little tweak or something. And, you know, obviously, which is the amount of just the amount of physicality that he's having to deal with right now, it is becoming more and more inevitable that something like that would happen. But he is a guy that, and he is always fought through and played as much as he could as well too. So it's not even like he is a guy that, you know, if he's just has the tweaked hamstring, that he's gonna miss the game. But maybe the Rams would get a little bit more cautious as well too. Again, knowing his importance for the team, and I don't know what his MVP odds would be, because again, a receiver winning the MVP, I don't even know if a receiver has ever won the MVP league. Like, did Jerry Rice ever win? Imagine Puka Nacua, the first ever receiver to win MVP of the league. But who knows? Maybe this is the next guy, Chad. And, you know, we have a couple of next guys in the league as well. I mean, it's just obviously a great time for receivers, so it's not like we can't have another great one. But for him to be potentially the first one to win MVP would be pretty crazy. I don't know if anybody won it way, but Don Hudson? Did Don Hudson ever snag an MVP? Ah! Yeah. He ever snag an MVP? I don't know. Irvin? Maybe. No, Tim Brown won the Heisman. And I guess a lot of receivers have obviously won the Heisman. But the actual league MVP itself is a little bit of a different tier. And the Sun, or the Sun, Ayo, chat, set the over-under for how many times we call the Mercury the Sun in the series. It is what it is. They have, you know, it's just our own dumb NBA mind, you know, shout out. We got the ESPN scorecard on the bottom of the screen, and it just says Phoenix, and it's still this, you know, the burnt orange and white graphic. So it's like, okay, this is, you know, obviously if I'm just looking at the scorecard, if somebody just cut out the Phoenix part of the scorecard, I guess the 4 seed maybe, but I guess they could also be a 4 seed in the Western Conference Finals. It's not that's also, I guess maybe be like, okay, it obviously wasn't from this past year, but yeah, this version of the ESPN graphic, you know, them being a 4 seed is not crazy. So if I'm just staring at that and just like glancing over at that, I'm just subconsciously going to say the Suns a couple of times. Shout out Devin Booker. You know, request to trade to San Antonio. You know, play 23 games. I don't know how many games you need to. You know, how many games do the Suns fans? Now we're actually talking about the Suns. How many games do the Suns fans deserve before Devin Booker requests a trade this year? And maybe Jalen Green is really good, and they're like perfect, and it's like, oh man, this is even better than when we had Chris Paul. Me and Jalen Green, we really have, you know, missing piece for the basketball conversation. Pause. But the hey yo, chat. It is what it is. I guess, you know, there's celebrity relationship stuff that could be in the mix. You know, you could start making comments about. But either way, you've got you know, two talented guards that I guess could get a lot of points. But the fact that he is a guy that could maybe want to chase a title as he starts to get into those 30 years could be a guy that a team like, of course, San Antonio could target for bolstering the roster. But 29-31 with 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Asia Wilson, 7 points, 2 for 5. So you know there's the second half, maybe this quarter as well too, but you know the second half, awesome 12, 13-point quarter is just going to happen. It's basically inevitable. And as good as Alyssa Thomas is as a defender, like the 4-quarter task is, you know, basically impossible at this point. And, you know, again, Asia has already hit some tough shots. So have the Mercury, chat. Hey, yo, they've hit a couple of crazy threes. Like, it is, I don't know their 3-point percentage for the year. Again, they have a talented lineup, so I'm not surprised if this is just what they do. But if this was, again, an NBA game as well, it would still be tough looks. And you would still be happy with the way the defense has been rotating out on some of these, and the fact that Phoenix has just gotten the better offensive shots, and the fact that you still traded 2 for 3 a little bit with this team, and it's still tied at this point as well. So again, the math of the game, I don't know when it actually starts to pull away. Alyssa Thomas, chat, you forget that not only is she good on offense or good on defense, she's good on offense as well too. Cooking with the little hook shot right there. 6 for 6 for the quarter for the Mercury. 5 for 7, make it 6 for 8 for the Aces, and that's Lloyd with the they gave it a 2, chat. Foot on the line. I was gonna say the 3, but yeah, it's looking like it might have been a close one there. Thomas out to the corner. Oh, chat, the ball movement. It's top notch. The other corner 3 is wide open. It started in the right corner if you're at the top of the key, and it went like back into the middle. It paused, and it basically went to both wings. Hey, yo. But made its way all the way back to the other corner. The basketball, chat. Made its way all the way back to the other corner and got the open 3. At that point, again, we just complimented the good defense of the Mercury. I guess they have an earbud in. They're like, hey, yo, we got to, the ball movement. Hey, yo, we're going to prove that even good defense has a weakness. And it really, again, you're on the 7th pass. It's like, well, at some point, the rotation is just they're going to run out here. It is what it is. But we're still responding. The bench has been on fire so far. Evans leading the charge with some of the others have managed to keep them in the game and have outscored the Mercury bench themselves about, they're looking 3-4 to 1 right now in the first half. But, and there's Stafford. Is that Puka? Is that the tight ends? Of course, he's good with his tight ends, chat. Pause. For some reason. And he's been able to get the targets to Atwell in the fourth quarter in the important moments. Of course, big play in the Colts game to score and put up a winning touchdown. And then, if I remember correctly, had another big play in the fourth quarter in the game here against San Francisco. So he is, of course, still finding, and he'll be a guy as well too, later in the season. As well. You would assume the health and stuff as it stays, he would just even continue to dial it more than he is, and being a really, really, good quarterback. But they were showing some stats about the Niners defense in this first quarter, and just about their first quarters in general over the course of the year. And it said that they're basically the best first quarter defense since the 2015 Broncos, that I would assume be the way they had it labeled, I'm assuming was the one that ended up winning the Super Bowl. And they, of course, had the monstrous secondary as well, too, with the no-fly zone. And were able to still get to the passer with Von Miller. And, again, it's just one of the most talented, awesome defenses that we've seen. But apparently first quarter-wise, they've had some kind of anti-scoring streak for the offense, about as good as any kind of, of those any kind of those situations. But the early field goal for the Rams, they end up getting it to drop, keeping it around, keeping it close. But Bourne, do we have to do like a first half, second half sort of ordeal with a Bourne? And maybe that would let us know when they just start absolutely throwing to it every time. That would, definitely be like fourth quarter, but, as we get into the second half, definitely something that you can see. And they do have that familiarity as well, too, going back to the Patriots and having time spent. And I don't know what their actual overlap would be as well, because Bourne wasn't on the Patriots for crazy long. And, I guess neither was Mac Jones. He is still only in maybe, his sixth season at this point. So he was there for 4 years, 2021 to 2024. No Pro Bowls for our guy, Kendrick Bourne, chat. But 17 games played in 2021 and we've got the the yeah, the way, hey yo, shout out to the Bourne performance, like we were saying, from the other night. But the with all the receivers that they ended up having out of the game, and still being able to go to McCaffrey as well too, it didn't seem like they were lacking options. But I don't know if Bourne was on this team even before, when he even signed here. Do we have like a transactions time for when he made the list? Hey, yo. Let's see. September 8th. So they did sign him later in the year. I guess the Patriots released him on August 27th as well. I guess, I don't know. Probably a later cut, you would imagine. Again, being a guy that has actually been good in games, including this one. Hey, yo, so close, Chad. I mean, imagine Drake May with Kendrick Bourne. They could probably use another receiver like Bourne, honestly. I mean, who couldn't with the way that he was playing in this one. But the familiarity is definitely a thing that I was thinking about with these backup quarterbacks as well too, to just have that kind of option in the mix. And I guess, again, you have to really, I guess, scroll through everybody's history and see who they play with. But either way, it might be worth it, Chad. It might be worth it. I don't know, maybe Spencer Rattler hasn't put up enough. This is still the team, but when Spencer Rattler goes somewhere else, and when Spencer Rattler's a backup on another team and he is fighting for the starting job, and then he ends up, because the guy gets hurt, he ends up taking over and he has to start in like a random week 7 game. Be like, hey, sign some former, I guess Shaheed's not on the team right now. Is Olave going to be gone then as well too? I mean, when the Saints just hit the reset button and everybody goes, hey, yo, Chad, again, if you're able to bring in Olave, obviously you just do that, and then maybe you bring in Spencer Rattler afterwards. And then maybe we got the order of the team building process wrong there. Ooh, Jackie Young blocks a 3-pointer? Almost. Kalia Cooper ends up getting it. Shout out. Of course, speaking of that finals experience, I think she did win a finals MVP for the Sky. And won it with the legendary kind of front court player. I think it was her and Candace Parker on that Chicago team. So Candace Parker and Alyssa Thomas, a little bit different and, different stylistically type players, but still kind of the two-way, tough, in-the-middle type thing. And Parker still at the end of her career there, of course, but still able to really hold down the fort in the center of the defense. But Carson Wentz. Like, do we have to go back and look at what receivers Carson Wentz was? Maybe he did play with Jalen Naylor, Chad. I'm trying to remember. They did draft Jalen Reagor they drafted him before Jefferson. So, imagine Carson Wentz could have played with Jefferson. Imagine, Chad. Am I getting that right? The timeline right there? But let me double check. Jalen Walker? No. That's not. Oh, maybe Jalen Walker? Do we just go Naylor, Chad? How many Naylors are there in the NFL? Probably a couple. Jalen. Oh, shout out the Rose spelling. Jlen. But so he has been in Minnesota his entire career. So I guess not him. Chad. But let's go Wentz. 2016. He's a veteran, Chad. Is there anybody left from Wentz's draft class at this point? Oh, the Indy season. We can take pause off of the box score here. So the Philly run, Washington, the Rams, Kansas City last year. So is that is Juju too much? I don't know if Minnesota's able to, acquire Smith-Schuster or something like that. But if you are able to bring in, of course, a guy that has had some sort of reputation in the past with the quarterback, maybe that familiarity would translate pretty quickly and still be beneficial for the offense as well. But McCaffrey slithers up a little opening in the middle, able to, at least get him a much closer field goal attempt here. And maybe from the box, they don't look as crazy. But from the TV, just normal behind the kicker angle is pretty tough. So there we go. Another right hash situation, and he drills that one just straight through. And that one didn't even have much of a, much curve back into the center on that as well. He really did just put that on a straight line and make it perfect. So the game continues, chat. Of course, both games continue. Ayo, the WNBA Finals, the rerun of the Thursday night game. And make no mistake, chat. Ayo, tonight's only getting started. We got crazy, crazy stuff up next. But you're not going to, I guess, up next, only if you don't go anywhere, chat. Ayo, because we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we still got, like we're saying, games, music, and more, chat, right after this. All right, we're back, chat. Alyssa Thomas is locking in. She's got the assignment versus A'ja Wilson, as you would expect. A couple of minutes left in the first half of this one. So Jackie Young takes Cooper off the dribble. I mean, her one-on-one game, of course, was a major factor at the end of that game 5 versus Indiana. Still able to get a pretty good little mid-range look there, but just not quite. Hey, yo, check. Excuse us. Just not quite able to get it to go. But they throw the double at Thomas on the other end, and it's not A'ja Wilson with the assignment. So they're just going to go with the bodies, try to swarm, I guess, confuse. Just make her, of course, just give up and just start passing, try to create that way. Oh, the Rams kicker, of course, pulls one to the right that time. So he needs to take a little lesson from Pinheiro on how to get the left curve, chat. Oh, no. Lawsuit number 2. This is not good. But that just means Mac Jones gets to take over near midfield. I mean, the difference between a missed field goal and a kickoff at this point, the offense, it doesn't even matter if the team scores. The offense is just going to get to start the next drive on the same spot. Whether or not they make the kick. If they kick off, they run it back. The landing zone stuff, I still don't even know what the landing zone stuff is. I was still trying to figure out, like, okay, the new kickoff rules, like they did change the running start stuff, recently. So that stuff is not totally new, but I thought they kind of just messed with that a little bit. I didn't know this whole, and I just thought they continued to move the touchback up as well too. I didn't understand the whole landing zone element, but I do think that is kind of cool. Like, that makes more sense to actually why they would move. And I got to be honest, like, it did kind of sell me on it, because I was thinking of this whole time they were just just generally just kept moving it up. Pause. So it's like, oh, now all of a sudden we're just randomly like the modern science, football science says to say like starting at the 35 is the best. I don't know, but it's like, okay, this seems a little bit too much. We're running out of football field. We still want drives, but the fact that you still can get that traditional 20, I think, by the sort of bounce technique, it is just going to have to obviously become something that kickers actually practice, and it becomes part of the repertoire, and the best ones will be able to have that as an element of their game. But it really hasn't even had a chance to be practiced yet. Maybe for one off season, it might not be the craziest thing in the world to try to attempt as well too. But you think we're only in only starting week 5 with this Thursday night game of that style of kickoff. So the fact of the players adjusting to the ability of it and how much they need to practice it, dial it in. Okay, again, this is actually a skill, this sort of bounce type of situation. Because there is a couple of guys in the league that can't do it. And I'm trying to remember which game we watched where they got it perfectly. And he's like, oh, I think it had to have been on Red Zone. It had to have been Scott Hansen, who was like, oh, that's just perfect execution of the new kickoff rule. If it bounces this way and does this sort of thing, then all of a sudden that means this match is here. And we're like, okay, well, obviously, we're locked in enough for that, of course. But jumbo set, chat. San Francisco got a bit of a heavy a heavy front is pretty crazy. But McCaffrey is always like I guess to some degree always. But when he's sort of driving through the middle of the lane, when he's sort of driving through the middle of the line, he is always been a little bit of a head down runner. That's for sure. But this year it definitely does seem to be a little bit more egregious, and again, he's not really able to manufacture any yards as well too. Definitely manufacturing a lot of carries and still a lot of opportunity, but hasn't quite been able to turn it into much. And it does become kind of a simple thing about the just the basic couple of rules. But the motion and even no Kittle, chat. No Jennings. It is crazy when they showed the one graphic, which again I guess we won't see over the course of this replay, but it is basically just like the entire starting lineup, all their skill guys, and there was an offensive lineman in the mix as well too. But that is tough beat. And Mac Jones under center, like we're saying, the comfortability was definitely there. Play action, do we have to look up play action stats? Chat, I don't know about play action stats, but play type ones would be honestly kind of interesting to see what the breakdown would be for what his different route trees are and where he excels. But chat, when the second half, don't go anywhere, because second half is right up next. Mercury versus Aces, game 1 of the WNBA finals. And like we said, we still got a fun little, I guess we'll see if it's fun. We're gonna try to have fun with it. Pause. We got a new album, chat. Perhaps you've heard of it. It'll be in the speakers in the studio in just a second. Up next. Okay, chat, what have we got ourselves into? Oh no, chat. Oh no. I think we can handle it. I mean, it seems like couple of people have spun the music before and seemed to give it a go. But hey, yo, we didn't even know that Swift was dropping an album. We fired up Spotify last night, and I guess maybe this is like a tier now of at least for us, the non-algorithm artists that just the Spotify will recommend anyways for us to listen to. And I remember when the Morgan Wallen Allen dropped. Did I say Morgan Allen? Morgan Wallen album? Yeah, Morgan Wallen album. When that dropped earlier this year, the day leading into the release, when I opened up Spotify, I was like, "Hey, you want to pre-save the Morgan Wallen album? Like, this is crazy. Obviously you should be listening to this." I was like, if we listen to it, I don't know if I'll pre-save it. I'll just remember it and throw it on if we decide to give it a listen. And I guess, hey, yo, chat, this is, of course, on the same tier. So Swift, Wallen, I don't know. Maybe some of the streaming stuff. But obviously, legacy-wise, where she's at, the run that she's just had, is one of the craziest artist runs that we've seen. And do we have to go to the timeline here and remember the years, because especially these recent albums as well too, I've lost track since basically 1989. I don't really know what the years and what the albums are at this point. Oh yeah, no, Reputation, 1989, 14, Reputation 17, Lover 19, Folklore 20, Evermore 20, and then you get the Taylor's versions in 21. So that's when, and I would say, well, really the 20s had the entire 20s decade this year, this decade, these 5 years have been basically owned, of course, by the music and the album release and the moments that she has created recently. But the hype across all this stuff, and to be able to release some of these albums in the mix, because I think the Folklore Evermore albums, of course, were, I think, COVID. So I don't know if that. I'm trying to remember like the storylines for those. I guess I just remember those came out during COVID. So I guess just getting music and getting top level entertainment during that time was obviously pretty clutch. But then you of course are getting the beginning of, and with the Taylor's versions, beginning of the whole dispute, the album re-release, obviously what ends up being into the celebrity relationship, but the touring and the notoriety continuing to be increased over and over. And I guess tortures the tortured poets department. Hey yo, chat, like Dead Poets Society tortured something. I don't know, but I don't necessarily think about this album as well too. Again, I guess I like we're saying 1980, like anything that, well, it really is just, I guess, 1989. We're like Taylor Swift albums. Oh yeah, 1989, I guess. But the actual, if you said like Folklore as like a cut, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, I still obviously remember. Oh yeah, like Folklore, I know that album. But if you're like Tortured Poets Department, I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one last year. So I don't know if that's the start of. Hey, the fall off, Chad, is that J. Cole or is that Taylor Swift? And that's not what we're saying, obviously. But I guess the point was the moment obviously was just so crazy and dropping those albums, the hype on those albums. This does seem like the first release on the other side of all that moment type stuff. And I guess you do have the engagement as well too to Kelsey. I don't know if that sets us in like a new, if it's like that does feel a little bit like a season finale type of a moment where the next season, maybe I don't know, next series, but the next sort of major storyline would be broken off by that. Like, would this? I mean, this does feel like a couple seasons of a story, honestly. Between it would feel like you would need maybe not one season, just A, B, one dedicated to the dispute and the version albums and all that different stuff, and then one dedicated to the relationship. But I think it would take 2 seasons of intertwining storylines to be able to tell all the stories properly. But either way, again, this does feel like the first normal album drop that she's had in a while. I guess if I could say normal in a, a normal, just major artist type way. Because you think even Kendrick, like, the next album that he drops is, and, I'm not saying that that's even, I guess, obviously, maybe not 2025, but I'm not even saying that that's early 2026. It could be 2020, late 2027. Obviously, August seems to be a hot month. I don't know if he would go with the label schedule or whatever and just post music in August like everybody else is doing right now. But, it's going to be middle to late 2027 or even 2028. But either way, it being not just the next project post the project of the Beef, where I guess everything's just going to be, oh, this is his 7th project since the Beef. Like, we'll see how it goes. But, it being the actual just first sort of, okay, back in the career's body of work is going to be the interesting thing. Because, of course, I think Iceman for Drake is a little bit still that first solo album post everything he did. And the problem is I think we're getting a little too removed from that as well too, where maybe, again, some Sexy Song for You, right? No Key was the name of the album or the song. Hey, yo. Some Sexy Songs for You does seem to be the album. Again, it might go down as the actual album post Beef. And then this album becomes that first career afterwards type moment. So, and again, this was, I guess, the beef of the time as well too, was Scooter Braun versus Taylor Swift. So, the point maybe not being that, oh yeah, again, Taylor Swift falling off after the beef. Hey, yo, obviously that's not happening. But I guess who's the next beef, Chad? Hey, yo, are the next several Cardi B albums going to be the highest selling albums of all time? Who knows? Is Cardi B going to be is she up next for the push? But, and I was honestly starting to get a little bit sold on our guy Antonov as well too, Chad. Again, him and Soundwave, they've just been in the studio cooking up together quite a bit. So it does seem like, okay, Chad, if Soundwave thinks this guy's okay, the radio kind of likes him, maybe hot take, we'll say, okay, we Antonov, good producer, we're in, chat pause, he's a legit guy. But I don't know if he is in the mix with this one as well too. So, again, it's not just the fact that she's had the momentum that she's had when she's dropped these albums, but she has also had arguably the best producer in the game making music for her. And, I don't know if it becomes a little bit of a Brady Belichick argument of who's responsible for Hugh. For who? For Hugh. Is there a Hugh in the mix, chat? Hey, yo. But it does become, did the producer, did the artist, and obviously they're both important as well too. But here, let me actually look at his actual sort of discography here and try to remember some of the other names as well that he, and I guess, I'm thinking more in like a major album type way as well than just a couple singles on a project. But yeah, of course, Swift, the 75, Kendrick Lamar, Florence Machine, Lord, Kevin Abstract, Sabrina Carpenter, Claro, Doja Cat, The Chicks, Lana Del Rey, St. Vincent. So of course, about as stacked as a credits as you can get. Panic at the Disco, one song for Panic at the Disco in 2011. Hey yo, shout out. I thought it said Eminem. Emblem 3, American rap rock group. Oh, so close, chat. Rap rock? I mean, that is kind of Eminem. Maybe Emblem 3 is a Eminem sort of. It's probably not an Eminem cover band, but maybe Eminem inspired American rap rock group from Sequim, Washington. Who knows? Album titled or song titled Spaghetti. Nothing to Lose is the album. Emblem, is it Emblem 3? I'm not even gonna click into it to see how you say it. Shout out. Once an Incredible True Story of Paul Potts. What is this movie, chat? Hey yo, it's got a track credit here for Taylor Swift from 2013. Yeah, we're way back. Okay, so she's gonna be taking some swings on some movies. But we got a song called Sweeter Than Fiction on a soundtrack called One Chance: The Incredible True Story of Paul Potts motion picture soundtrack. Opera singer and British Got Talent winner. I almost just subconsciously just read it as British America's Got Talent winner, but it's just called just the British Got Talent winner. Yeah, you can't even say it quite right. But shout out to Paul Potts, I guess, for making this happen. He did produce a lot of the songs on the soundtrack himself. So I don't know if he was influential in the making of this movie, but yeah, we've got Swift and Antonov on the Paul Potts story, chat. It's obviously great to go back and see where these people started. Oh, a Bleachers album in here. I feel like we've got some Bleachers songs saved in some playlists somewhere. Oh, Strange Desire. Yeah, this album cover is definitely if we do have Bleachers songs saved. Hey, let me click into this track list real quick and see. I guess here, let me switch the screen as well too. There you go. Now you can see what we are looking at. So this one's called, again, Strange Desires. I guess he's the lead producer on this. Does Wikipedia know what songs we have saved into our Spotify? I guess I don't know if any of these sound familiar just based on the title. Oh, maybe Roller Coaster as one. I don't know if he is actually a main producer on this one. But either way, that's obviously a great project. Shout out. You know, that is more in the lane of stuff that he works with for sure. Chat, we got another motion picture here. Hey, yo! Which one's this? From Paul Potts to 50 Shades? Hey, yo, the line there is a bit dramatic. Speaking of dramatic, Lord on Melodrama. Also a major Antonov vehicle. A lot of Reputation. So he starts, I guess, and we did say Reputation was the follow-up to 89. So wait, is 89 an Antonov project, chat? That'd be the great thing to learn today on the pod. Would be Antonov worked heavily on 1989. Shout out. I mean, they were working together in 2013, so it would make sense. Oh, he was, chat. So I don't know how long they have been working together then in general. You know, they could go way back again. He continued to build notoriety with just his full body of work as well. But yeah, he did it. Do we have a track list here somewhere? Where's the track listing, chat? Here we go. He produced Out of the Woods by, I guess these are all by Taylor Swift. Shout out. Is that the only one? That's the only one he has an actual producer and so. Out of the Woods. What's this one? I Wish You Would. I Wish You Would. I do think I can remember the hook for Are You Out of the Woods, or I think I just remember her saying, Are you out of the woods? Are you out of the woods? Are you out of the woods? But hey, yo, joke. So we got the title of the song, right? But the I Wish You Would, I honestly wouldn't even remember that as a track on the album. I think most of these, honestly, again, this is iconic, chat. Hey, yo, speaking of no skips, 1989, except for the one Antonov track, so the anti-Antonov is a skip, I guess. I Wish You Would. So then he was able to get his revenge on Reputation and produce. Well, I guess this does feel like one of the ones that was. I feel because I remember they debuted the song for this album on a college football game. I forget what the actual game was. I just remember Saban was. It was an Alabama game. Saban was obviously still coaching, and I just remember Saban running out of the tunnel in a slow motion camera shot. Oh, the Rams missed another field goal, chat, in the rerun. Hey, I forgot they missed multiples. Oh, that's the extra point. That's right. Oh, are we later in the all 22 than I thought? Hey, yo. And we are back into the second half as well for Mercury versus Aces, chat. This is a crazy game. It's 51-52. They've been locked in the entire time. I didn't see the spread for this one, but I think it was pretty close as well. But Aces at home, I don't want to say it hasn't felt like a home game. Hey, yo, that's intense. You have definitely seen momentum shifts as well, but it's been a tense game, and the Mercury have been tough and have definitely gotten out to bigger leads. I don't know if we go biggest lead for the game, but it definitely had better moments in the course of the first half there. So there is a little bit of wanting to see the Aces kind of flip the switch. Jackie Young missing a three, kind of open, semi, transition-ish, not transition, but bringing the ball up the court and then just the pass stepping in right into an open three after getting it back after that. So an opportunity that you would hope she would get, especially later in the game as well too, to continue that clutch factor. And to be honest, best of 7 series, chat. Hey, yo, they might just might just be one of those games for Phoenix. Another crazy corner three, defender hand up. That's got to be listed as a contested shot. in the stats later. There's no way that's not. Are we recording this one, IT? Can we go back and check the tapes? But yeah, shout out because again, Antonov. Oh, I was gonna say Future, but yeah, I guess he's featured on this one here. And oh yeah, he's a couple. Getaway car, dress. This is why we can't have nice things. Call it what you want it. In New Year's Day. So and look what you made me do. This might be. Oh no, Ready for It. I think is the one that they debuted on the college football game. I think Look What You Made Me Do is just one that would just play at work a lot and be on all the time. But this is kind of a fun Taylor Swift album. I don't know if we can get into I don't know if we're capable enough to rank the full albums. You know, it would just, I guess, you know, obviously 1989 is number one. And I mean, people would say just that, I guess the non-Taylor Swift people would probably be like, well, I like old Taylor Swift. I mean, that's just the thing you say about artists that you're not really into. So, well, I just like their old stuff, you know, Ayo, or, you know, maybe. But you would just be like, oh, you know, Taylor Swift country stuff. I don't know. But it's, for me, guess what? My taste, you know, maybe if we're gravitating toward music, might not be Taylor Swift first. And make no mistake, it's definitely not country. So, you know what we're not going back to? Country Taylor Swift. Ayo. Shout out. I mean, it's still iconic stuff. You know, Love Story is an iconic song, and if it's a fun group and it plays and the group is singing, I mean, I'll sing along and it's a good time. You know what I'm not queuing up driving around by myself? Love Story by Taylor Swift. But you also know what happens after I say things like that. So let's say things like that. I just get in my car and I'm like, actually, I probably should be queuing up that song. It's a good song. Like, I'll just be blasting it now, driving to work. But shout out. But it's a short drive, so we might only get one song. It would just be that song. Then quickly switch it as we pull into the parking lot. Be like, okay, 50 Cent. Now we're good to go. But I guess, yeah, so I don't remember why we were ranking albums there or whatever. But yeah, this was, I guess, the beginning of him taking over the albums for her. And I guess what we were saying was, I think this will, you know, she was, of course, had crossed over into being one of the biggest pop stars in the world at that point. And then I guess it would have been, like we say, a couple years, a couple albums, and then in that 2020s run, becoming the mega dominant all-time artist that she's been able to achieve. And, you know, again, I guess to some degree, you know, like, I guess in a sports way as well, too. Obviously, you have to have the team around you. Like we're saying, the fact that, you know, Antonov has been in songs and in the lab with Soundwave has been like, oh, okay, you know, Antonov's cool. Soundwave, of course, is a major, if not, but he is the most important producer that Kendrick has worked with. But, you know, he's a major reason why Kendrick is able to be as successful as he is, because, you know, what Kendrick provides to the game sonically, I don't think he gets a credit. Well, he does get credit for, especially with GNX, because of the way it was, you know, what do you call it? I was going to say pirating, but not pirating. There's a word like pirating that I feel like is like is forefronting a word? I feel like if it is, it might not be a professional word, but you know, with the way he's championing, you know, I guess that is a way to use it, but I don't even know what the word I was looking for that was similar to pirating. That would be like championing. I don't know. Ask ChatGPT, but you know, the way he's championing the West Coast sound there, of course, was definitely, you know, obviously being praised, and rightfully so, because he was championing it well with great beats. But the sonic stuff that he was doing, you know, were the sonic scapes of his albums, I guess all of it, like we're saying, T-Pap, the jazziness of that. But, you know, like even Good Kid, Mad City is the consistency and the, you know, just the sort of darker sonic palette that has is just very unique and one of a kind. And again, that's Soundwave as well too. You know, obviously, you know, Ye for himself, Outkast for themselves and their production, you know, Drake's production team, Cole, Tyler, you know, a lot of guys obviously for themselves for sure. But then a lot of guys have their legendary guy. And, you know, we're just naming hip hop guys at this point as well too. But again, Taylor Swift was working or in conversations with MJ. But I love, of course, it's great that we can just have GOAT conversations in multiple lanes and just have MJ's, you know, MJ in basketball, MJ in music, obviously, but the conversations and I guess the commercial numbers and dominance as well too were being compared there. It was like, who else has even achieved this type of stuff? Oh yeah, Michael. But the Michael did have, of course, Quincy Jones, and Quincy Jones is just majorly important for obviously all of music, but because he is important for all of music because he made Michael Jackson's albums and the way that they're, and obviously other albums as well too. But I guess that would be obviously amongst the highlights of him sonically of his career, of what he was achieving there on some of those projects. And of course that's when he entered the classic status, and those projects started to go to a different level, and it was a good time in his career as well too, because I don't remember exactly what album Thriller was. And I know that, hey, yo, Chad, are we comparing Antonoff to Quincy Jones? No. But it would be like an MVP, I guess, producer of the year or whatever. I don't know how far that goes back for the Grammys. Well, I guess, Quincy Jones he did win Grammys. Of course, they had producer of the year in the 70s and 80s and stuff. But where is he at here? I guess here, we'll go off the wall, 1979, so technically 70s. But before, we're looking for the number. So his fifth. So yeah, he had 4 before that. And again, obviously his rise as well too. I don't know. Is this like the Sabrina Carpenter? How many of the albums before this do we take seriously? I don't know. I guess, for us, I mean, I think, I think I listened to the Jackson 5 more than the pre Off the Wall MJ albums. It would be like a couple of those iconic Jackson 5 albums. What's the one? Okay, here. There's 2 that I'm thinking of specifically. One might be, honestly, like a compilation at some point of some kind of album. But, Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5? I guess, they're obviously all going to be iconic to some degree. Maybe Tomorrow, the Christmas album, for sure. Looking Through Windows. The Jacksons? Is that as the Jacksons? Oh, not the Jackson 5. But as the Jacksons' Greatest Hits Anthology. I might have to go to my own Spotify here just to see what the album is that we have said. The Ultimate Collection. Oh, we don't have an album cover picture for that one. But yeah, I guess either way, again, his music, of course, started to take a different role when he worked with Quincy Jones. And I guess, I don't know, was he working with Quincy Jones before Off the Wall? Let's see here. Best of Michael Jackson beforehand. Hey, yo, Chad. Imagine dropping a best of Michael Jackson before you drop Thriller or Off the Wall and Thriller. Your album in 75 is a compilation album of all your best songs. And then your next 2 albums are amongst the best albums of all time. But yeah, no Quincy Jones in Forever Michael. So, like we're saying, of course, that producer is as important to everybody. I mean, Dre for everybody that was in the 2000s. Timberland. I mean, obviously, we could just keep going on and on. But yeah, shout out. So yeah, I don't know. Post Antonoff, did they have a breakup, a falling out? Is it just a decade of working together? You're like, okay, obviously, maybe we can't. You just start getting bored of greatness, chat. They've got to go pursue their own stuff. But yeah, let's see. And maybe he is on the track list here, but maybe just not as crazy as he has been. So, The Life of a Showgirl. Hey, yo. But it's just giving us, pause, Max Martin, Shellback. And then I guess Swift herself, shout out. So, I guess it doesn't even have producer credits yet on the track listing. So I guess it could be Antonoff as well. But you would think that it would. Here, does it say anything? It says, announced Life of the Showgirl on sports podcast New Heights on August 13th, 2025. Hey, yo, chat, who would have thought? Who would have thought? I don't know if that's, if she can blame Travis if this album is not as well received. Speaking of which, Life of the Showgirl has received mixed reviews. I don't know if we, inform our opinion beforehand or not. Chat, Mac Jones, as we look up with an interception ball in the rerun. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Right before they go into a later field goal. But, what was it? Some critics praised its breezy production and joyful, humorous lyrics, while others found it lyrically and sonically unremarkable. Oh, okay, so that, probably it's gonna, it pleased, the fans of whatever kind of liked it. That's a storyline that you'll get, obviously, for some albums that are, again, the fans are bumping, but some of that, it's like, okay, yeah, obviously, if you haven't been, profoundly moved by all the music before, maybe then, maybe you check it out to see if this is the one project that it'll happen with, but also maybe you're just checking it out to check it out and see what happens. And maybe, again, it's not going to be, doesn't always have to be at the top of your replay list. Hey, yo. But, yeah, of course, we're curious to see where this goes, chat. Hey, yo, just the biggest selling artist of our generation. It is what it is. Just, hey, yo, the star of every NFL game for a season and a half there. Again, it's like the level of even just celebrity in general was about as high level as we've seen anybody, again, be able to achieve in the Michael Jackson-esque era. I guess you start going into it's, I guess Jackson's not like pre-internet and stuff like that. Or he is pre-internet. It's not like, again, internet and stuff is around there. But there is a little bit more, I guess, color TV, Technicolor. I don't know, it's like Technicolor, I guess, goes way back. But I don't know what the sort of, when do we consider it modern? Like just the Super Bowl era, maybe, for Super Bowl halftime shows? I don't know. But the modern era, of course, celebrity overwhelmingness, or overwhelming, I was saying that like it's a negative thing. The dominance, the celebrity overwhelming dominance is what we meant to say there, chat. Hey, yo, we obviously just didn't finish the sentence, but it's as high level as we've seen from anybody. Stafford with time to throw and just decides to throw it to nobody. I guess you got the tight end crossing across the middle of the field, so you don't get the intentional grounding. But let's see what we get here, chat. Let's see what we have gotten ourselves into. He doesn't seem, again, too crazy. I'm master curator Taylor Swift, 41 minutes. You love to see it. Speaking of Kendrick, she said 12 songs is the way to go. Then that's the way to go. And they are artists that definitely, I think, admire each other for sure. I mean, she obviously admires him. She has talked about that in the past. They've collaborated together. So no collaboration this time, at least not listed. Kendrick in 2025. I guess that's 2 albums without Kendrick, chat. Taylor, where you can get the Kendrick feature? Yeah, Taylor. I don't know what the Taylor Drake relationship has ever been, to be honest. But I don't know. For some reason, they don't. That doesn't seem like a feature that just needs to happen. And I don't think Bad Blood's the type of song where you're like, let's run that back. But it is. It makes a little bit more sense, and maybe that's just, again, just Kendrick is so I guess, versatility. Obviously, Drake's a versatile guy, but there is it does seem like those musical worlds collide a little bit better between those two artists than Drake and Taylor Swift. I don't know, just a Drake Taylor Swift song. I mean, it would be crazy. Just the two biggest, the biggest male female artists of the last, like we're saying, 20 years on a track together, in theory, would be nuts. But it just, I don't know if I'd be that crazy for it. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But again, really, Taylor Swift Kendrick would be pretty sick. Shout out Taylor Swift Tyler. Like, I don't know, has Taylor Swift collaborated with Tyler? That would be one that I think could. So Taylor Swift on the West Coast, essentially. Maybe just Taylor Swift and Doechii. Honestly, like, Taylor Swift, why is Doechii not on this album? SZA. How has Taylor Swift not collaborated with SZA? Is that the thing? Well, speaking of Kendrick, of course, people talk about the features that he'll select. Like, has he ever had a feature that'll outshine him on a song as a potential option on a feature list? I don't know. Is Taylor Swift like, I can't have SZA outshine? But I don't know if, again, is Taylor Swift a vocal performance type of, and I don't, hot take. Rem doesn't like Taylor Swift's vocals. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying, I don't know if she's, and I think on the rise and stuff, I'm sure she had a great, again, it was a great voice. Have you heard her sing? All those different things that obviously you would say about a singer on their way up in the game. But I don't know if you would have quite had put her on the, and hey, yo, Chad, is this the bulletin board material? The next album is like all just the craziest, vocals, riffs, and high notes and singing performances that you've ever heard. But I don't know if, again, so we'll say up until this point, I don't know. But up until this point, I don't know if you would have said that she is like, oh, you Whitney. Obviously, nobody's Whitney. but I don't think you're putting her like it's not the first name in the conversation for greatest vocals of all time. Again, speaking of MJ, like that is something for MJ in that argument. Is not only does again he have the sort, and that's I guess for Kendrick as well too. He's now got commercial success combined with critical acclaim, but you're like, oh look, we breaking down the double entendres, and there's I guess a quote unquote skill there as well. Not quote unquote for his sake, but compared to the rest of the game, it's like oh the skill level is of course unmatched, but the again it's like just her skill in crafting these songs in the I guess the catchiness of the songs, but also the way that she is able to brand and connect to the fans and to be able to create a like you heard about again the tour and how amazingly successful that was, but you just heard about I guess how good of a community it was at these events as well too, as much as any basically again any like entertainment venue. Like it's just like everybody it's like just like this just like people were just talking about like this family. It's like Fast and Furious backyard barbecues at every Taylor Swift concert, just everybody's family for one night. Like it was just like okay, everybody's just like maybe the whole world just needs to go to a Taylor Swift concert, and that'd be the most peaceful night of it's just peace on earth. Chat, ayo, Taylor Swift concert, but a Travis Scott concert, we'd all be jumping up. The earthquake times obviously a billion at that point, but. I guess I'm not saying that they're not jumping up and down, but it does seem seems to be a little bit of a different vibe. But I guess either way, again. So I guess point being, hey yo, I don't know what we're rambling about here, but point being the fact that SZA on a track, like if SZA could actually again go all out on a vocal performance like that. Taylor Swift can still have a great song and I guess great verse, whatever, however you want to say it in the pop. I don't even know how you are, competing against this stuff in a pop sense as well too. Because again, like in hip hop, you're writing verses, maybe on like a rock song. I don't know if you have like a feature with a rock song and like both of them do guitar riffs or something like that. I don't know if that's ever happened or if that's a thing in that type of world. But again, in the pop world, if it was out singing each other, or just out the verse ability versus the vocal performance, however that would work. But again, I think like Doechii, SZA, anybody from Top Dog, like we're saying, I think actually would like even Schoolboy Q. Honestly, like if Schoolboy Q jumped on a Taylor Swift track, I think there's a uniqueness from Q's ability that does give him a versatility to play in a lot of different fields. Or again, I don't know if every major star needs to link with every major star for collabs, but when hip hop is cooking at time, there's both sides of it where it's of course competitive, but both sides are good where you have that's maybe just regions as well too competing against each other, but you have your collectives and then they are they're the squads that go against whoever else. This guy from this squad's battling this guy. Then you have, of course, like we saw a little bit recently, but maybe not so much squad versus squads, but squad versus guy. Hey, yo, chat. John Wick, obviously. Kendrick Wick. John. I don't know if John Lamar. Does John Lamar make a lot of sense? I don't even know. That sounds more like we're talking about Ravens breakdowns, and we're just mixing up the coach and the quarterback at that point. But yeah, so I guess a shout out. We got Sabrina Carpenter as the feature on the end of the album, so that'll be interesting to look forward to. Which one did it say was it the fate of Ophelia? Who's Ophelia, chat? Hey yo, but Elizabeth Taylor, historic, iconic. That's fun. Shout out. Wish list. Speaking of the hip hop world, we got the $ S's on the track list title here, chat. Wish list with $. That's crazy. Shout out to Taylor Swift. I don't know. Is she going to be wearing a wave cap in the music video? She might. A$AP Rocky, though, speaking of. Like, A$AP Rocky would be a good collab. Taylor Swift, get A$AP Rocky out of retirement. I mean, speaking of A$AP Rocky and Frank Ocean. I mean, that would obviously be a great one. And we've got a little collision here with the Aces and the Mercury. We got a couple of players down, but now looking at the score, the Mercury are up by 7 with 2 minutes left in the third. So hopefully things are not starting to get out of hand as well too. And if they're gonna have to limp back to the locker room. Hey yo, chat. Unfortunate there for the Mercury, of course. So I don't know if we're doing necessarily a proper rankings. And a couple of those names would be new. Again, Kendrick, she has collaborated with in the past. So if we're talking about new collaborations, then some of the other names we name would be more appropriate. And I think she has, she did collaborate with Future on that track that we saw earlier. I forget. I'm not going to go back and look that up. Was Ed Sheeran on that track? I think it said Ed Sheeran was on that track too. Hey, yo, Chad, Ed Sheeran and Future. Did we fire that one back up? Hey, yo. That one might actually be kind of a vibe. We're gonna be which one do we say we're gonna be bumping? Love Story. See, chat. I guess maybe that would just be us being more biased toward Future. I was gonna say, see, the Future song's better than Love Story, but I can't actually commit to that. Love Story is obviously a quote unquote better song, but maybe because Future's on the song, we'll just be okay. We can listen to this, and then Future's on the track as well too. So. That would be another Playboy Cardi. We rank every feature we'd rather see Taylor Swift collaborate with than Drake, chat. I don't know why Drake has to, take a drive-by shooting here, but hey, yo. Maybe just motivation to help the Iceman album be as good as possible. And, obviously we're invested in the big three. I was going to say, I don't think everybody, people have sides in the big three for sure. And we've definitely obviously gravitated to one side, but there is, of course, I think a lot of people that are equally that like to see success from all three guys as well too, and they're all three important to the game, of course, over the last 10 plus years, the 15 years, and for them to continue to just be dropping good music as well too would be awesome. So we just want that album to be good for our playlist's sake. Hey yo, but those would be some of the names I guess that would be fun to be in the mix as well. And like we're saying, from the pop world, I would only know the bigger stars. So I feel like we named all the bigger stars from the hip hop world, of course. But those might be too big of collaborations. Like if Bruno Mars and Taylor Swift collaborated again, and that is a little in that Drake vibe. That would be a bop. And again, they're both going to hear this and be like, well, and I'm not saying they wouldn't drop the #1 song in the world. Obviously, it would be the #1 song in the world. Everybody would listen to it. But hot take, I think it might be like a B+, a Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars song. I would rather see that Taylor Swift Doechii track than a Taylor Swift Bruno Mars track, or that Taylor Swift Tyler track would be pretty sick as well too. Ab-Soul on a Taylor Swift track, maybe. I don't know. He's getting into the pop stuff with the what was that last Soulberger? No. What's the one I'm thinking of? Herbert? No, he's pretty straight hip hop, for sure. But he'll craft a song every now and then. He'll try to get in the mix, for sure. But should we actually listen to the album? Hey yo, chat. We're just over here rambling about how we want to see SZA. Hey yo, where's SZA hidden feature, chat? Hey yo, the deluxe version of Life of a Showgirl, a secret fit. Don Toliver. Oh, chat. Taylor Swift and Don Toliver would be crazy. That would actually be nuts. I can't believe that hasn't happened. This should have been all features, honestly. Honestly, Taylor Swift should have just EP'd this with all features. I don't know. Hey, yo, chat. Okay, we've got track 1. I guess we want to actually play this on the speaker. Where did oh, hey, yo, here we are. We got the album pulled up, chat. Hey, yo, we'll throw it on the player here. And see what we have got. First time in, I guess, a year since she has dropped music. And they said light and, what did it say there? Light and breezy? So, I guess that's definitely, kind of airy guitars vibes. Is this like a little Marilyn Monroe situation in the music? I don't know if she dropped full music videos. I guess this one would be a single, so there would be a good chance that this would have a music video. But we got a little, I'm guessing a little Marilyn Monroe, impression in the looping. As my head tells to watch the video. Hey, yo, chat. Obviously, we're just trying to fully break down what hidden messages are being, being mixed in here. But yeah, so obviously that showgirl. If we're thinking of the potential narratives and messages that Life of a Showgirl could talk about, then that would be a definite just arc and story that would be very noteworthy. And I'm not trying to reduce it to that, but if we were, I don't know, for copyright infringement, not saying specific names, but following archetypes. I don't know, just specific. I don't know. Is there a Marilyn Monroe close name that's just barely, barely gone rogue, and it's her character for this thing? I don't know, but again, we got, I guess, Elizabeth Taylor as well. So I don't know. Is there an individual character for each one? Probably not. And then it all the journey through entertainment history from Marilyn Monroe to Sabrina Carpenter, chat. Is there a through line? I don't know. Are we gonna start wandering into sketchy territory? We can pivot. It's okay. Do we have to pull up the Genius? Do people put Genius annotations on Taylor Swift lyrics? But again, in terms of the pop people, and I guess also speaking of Kendrick, specifically of the diss tracks, she does drop in the messages, I guess, in the Easter eggs, compared to maybe more so than some pop people. I feel like Sabrina, and this is where it's like, okay, Rem's not online. I feel like Sabrina Carpenter's been in some beefs recently. I guess what's a beef is a relationship drama beef, chat. I don't know, in the celebrity world. I don't know. I guess it can definitely turn into that. That's for sure. But I guess she's been in her share of. I feel like there's been a couple of stories that have been floated around out there with some relationship stuff. So I don't shout out, I guess. But I don't know if again there is the history of entertainment here in the mix. Eldest daughter, chat, father figure. Hey, yo, we might not be qualified to address some of the topics. They said light and breezy production, chat. They were not talking about the lyrics, or we're just projecting a little bit too much on the song titles. Do we have lyrics on Spotify already? If Spotify was going to put lyrics on an album less than a day after they've been released, then it would definitely be this one. I don't think we do. Where's the lyric button here on the computer, chat? Hey, yo. It is what it is. Oh, I guess, wait a second. We'll see if it's... Oh, we do. Okay, wait. So, yeah, again, this one. We got the last line, chat. Hey, yo, you saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. So do we have to look up Ophelia real quick and see? I mean, this is obviously some, ancient mythology situation. Most ancient mythology, doomed. Oh, Chad, Hamlet. Hey, yo. Are we exposed? Is this a worse sign for us or a worse sign of the times that we don't know Ophelia's name? Maybe Taylor Swift's audience, again, just locked in with Hamlet and Shakespeare. Could be just, I don't know, the education on 1600s literature is, or I guess Hamlet set in 1599, 1601. So I guess we don't know exactly when it was penned. I don't know. Is literature... books are defined by when they're written, right? Not by when they're set in. You wouldn't write a book now and write it about the Roman Empire and be like, oh, a book from the Roman Empire times. It'd be a modern book, but a story about, maybe in the past. So, to be honest, I don't really even know what goes on in Hamlet. I know there's obviously some, some double crossing, some spoiler alert type stuff may happen, but Ophelia, I guess at the end of the day, and I guess speaking of double crossing stuff, do we just spoil it right now? I kind of don't want to spoil it for myself, Chad. Hey, yo, what if I want to see Hamlet? Doesn't Denzel play Hamlet, or what does he play, Chad? Oh, Macbeth. That's what Macbeth. Hey, yo, close. He's Shakespeare, or no, he does play Much Ado About Nothing as Shakespeare as well too. I mean, Denzel is very, of course, Shakespearean, so not surprising that he actually gravitated into the Shakespeare actual movies. But, and they've actually done several, chat. Every 5 years, they make a Hamlet movie. 64, 69, 90, 96, 2000, 09, 2018 as well, too. Daisy Ridley in 2018 and Kate Winslet in 96, chat. Which one do we watch first? Hey, yo. Helen Bonham Carter, 1990. Mel Gibson, I guess, is in this as... Oh, Glenn Close as well. Hey, yo, based on the tragedy of Hamlet. Kate Winslet, who's in this one? We got Kenneth Branagh, of course, very Shakespearean as well. Julie Christie. I was going to say King Claudius, but no, that's the character. I was like, who's King Claudius? This is some rapper we need to go look back from 96. Did King Claudius drop the same day as Tupac? I don't think so. Maybe unless the movie did. We got Mariah Gale, '09. Oh, a PBS production. We may not know the cast of that one. And then '08 with Daisy Ridley. Did they save money for the other stars? Oh, they did, chat. Naomi Watts, Clive Owen, George McKay, and Tom Felton. Okay. Definitely some English vibes to this cast right here. And Devon Terrell as well, too. 2018 Sundance. So is it about time, chat? It's almost been 10 years and we haven't had a new Hamlet movie, a new Ophelia movie. Shout out. Oh, Frances McDormand. That's Frances McDormand? How did Frances McDormand not play Ophelia back in the day as well? Is this Ophelia, chat? Hey, yo, I don't think so. I think that might just be another portrayal at some point in history. Oh, these are other actual portraits as well, too. So, artists have been... I guess Thomas Francis, a little obsessed. Oh, is this a remake of the same? Kind of a sample here? I'm not sure. But either way. George Carlin? Georges Clarin also drew this Ophelia painting as well, too. So, Opalate? Oh, we're on track 3. I don't know if that's another, a cousin of Ophelia. Opalate. But Elizabeth Taylor. Should we double check Elizabeth Taylor as well? Because, make no mistake, chat, ya boy is an idiot. It is what it is. And doesn't know history. But let's see what is going on here. Hey, yo, chat. Let's go. Shout out. What a run for Elizabeth Taylor. Okay, this is bringing back some memories of some word on the street about some people who have, speaking about word on the street, chat. But Conrad Hilton, I mean, how do you leave a guy named Conrad Hilton? That's a stud right there, chat. Hey, yo. You only go down from there. Yo, that's what it looked like several different times. But Michael Wilding, you go from Conrad Hilton to Michael Wilding. Mike Todd, shout out film producer, definitely messing around film world. Edwin Jack Fisher, yeah, Chad, this is 5 years. Okay, I was gonna say that's short-lived. That's a hot guy right there. But Richard Burton, yeah, Chad, on and off with Richard Burton. Of course, you're double back a couple times. Welsh actor, hey yo. John Warner, American politician and lawyer. Hey, yo, a stark pivot, chat. We went from Conrad Hilton all the way to John Warner. So John Warner, maybe a little bit of an older guy. Maybe, kind of bringing back some of the old Conrad Hilton vibes, the business, the sort of old school power there. I don't know, pause. But, whoa! Larry Fortsky was a construction worker known for being actress Elizabeth Taylor's. Oh, chat. I don't want to assume here that is this off the rails? I mean, the mullet's definitely off the hair. This should have been Elizabeth Taylor's haircut, but instead it's on Larry Fortensky. So that's not good. But this is definitely off the rails. I don't know if this whole situation was an off the rails situation, but this is tough, chat. Hey, yo. A construction worker, chat. What kind of wood was this guy working with? IT, cut that out. Hey, yo. That's crazy. They were married at, speaking of MJ, chat. Hey, yo. Married at Neverland Ranch? Yikes. It is what it is. But, I mean, do we need to look into Conrad Hilton, chat? Hey, yo. This is like Hilton Hotels? Oh, chat. Bad scouting by Elizabeth Taylor. I don't know where Hilton Hotels was at in the 50s, but I mean, holy cow. The Taylor, I'm sure the Taylor estate's doing okay. I mean, maybe they got, a little bit of, 17 different estates here, but so maybe a little bit of the Conrad Hilton and the Warner and the Burton is not bad. Do you would rather have that or all the Conrad Hilton? I'm not exactly sure. But, shout out. He did seem to, of course, have a crazy successful career himself as well, too. Met Elizabeth Taylor at a Mocambo nightclub in Los Angeles. The couple were married in a highly publicized ceremony at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills, May 6, 1950. They had unfortunately, chat, they had a tempestuous 8-month marriage due to, gambling, drinking. Oh, chat, that's right. I think I've heard this before about maybe people involved and some certain vices. So, yeah, some drugs in the mix there that would definitely be very, very descending. I don't know what the right word is there, but yeah, definitely cause a little bit of downward spiral. And abusive behavior all the way around is definitely not good. Oh, chat, and it resulted in physical stuff that resulted in harm as well too. So Taylor getting again the physical abuse here to her is obviously not great. So maybe Conrad Hilton, chat, not as great as we thought. Unfortunately, chat, you just can't click on the Wikipedia page of anybody from back in the day. It is what it is. You're gonna just the write-ups are short, and you scroll down, you're like, oh, I guess we lost another one. It is what it is. So Conrad Hilton, maybe for the best that he was left in the dust. It is what it is. Richard Burton, like I say, I can't even click into Richard Burton's Wikipedia page now. I mean, shout out, he's probably a great guy, and now it's like, oh, what happened to Richard Burton? But it is what it is. There's no need to. Well, I guess in some ways, hopefully you learn from the past, but I guess we've already learned tonight, chat. How much learning we want to do. But so shout out Elizabeth Taylor. I guess do we have to look into what this father figure track is, chat? Oh, chat, they do have lyrics. That's crazy. I mean, this is nerdy Spotify type stuff right here, but that's the type of stuff as a music fan you get the songs that you like right away, and you want to have those lyrics to learn the music, to learn the words right away. Make no mistake. Sometimes I can't keep up, chat. Hey, yo, whoa! I make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger, chat? Hey, yo. Is she talking from she might be talking from a bit of a perspective here, would be my guess. All I ask for is your loyalty, my dear protege. I'll be your father figure. I drink that brown liquor? I can make deals with the devil because my dick is bigger? This love is pure profit? Just step into my office. They'll know your name in the streets. Leave it with me. I protect the family. I saw a change in you, my dear boy. Hey, yo, chat. This is crazy. I don't know. This song is making me very uncomfortable, chat. It's obviously very, it's very complicated, and I'm sure very, very deep lyrics, but she's saying words that are, it's very weird, chat. She's obviously, kept it a certain vibe her whole career. And there's going one way where it's like, okay, we'll add a little explicit language here and there. And then it's like, whoa, wait a second. What are these bars? Hey, yo, chat. That's crazy. You don't hear anybody. I'm sure. Can we like genius search lyrics, chat? I mean, and maybe this is just, sometimes you just forget all the other things you need to forget to prove your own point. But I don't think anybody says Nick in song lyrics, chat. Hey, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. But I don't know. We might have to run this one back. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here for Taylor Swift. So, stay tuned for the Spotify Wrapped in 2025 to see where Father Figure lands. And I guess, again, it is what it is for, albums we listen to, I guess. But the explicit label for Swift is on basically all of the tracks except the first three. So, hey, yo, chat, she's like, if you're listening to this with the, maybe the multiple generations like we've been in the past, I don't know, you in the car bumping Life with a Showgirl, you're replaying the first three songs, I guess, from an explicit standpoint, maybe for some age groups. Eldest daughter, chat, right after Father Figure. Hey, yo, I don't know. Everybody's so punk on the internet. Everyone's unbothered till they're not. Every joke's just trolling and memes. Sad as it seems, apathy is hot. Everybody's cutthroat in the comments. Every single hot take is cold as ice. Whoa, Taylor Swift, chat, that might be a hot take. That is a hot take from Taylor Swift. Every hot take is as cold as ice. When you found me, I said I was busy. That was a lie. Oh, I've been afflicted by terminal uniqueness. I've been dying from just trying to seem so cool. Okay, shout out. I'm not a bad, and this isn't savage. Ooh, the rhyme scheme. But I'm never gonna let you down, never gonna leave you out. So many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow. Never gonna leave you now. On a trampoline in somebody's backyard. Hey, yo, chat. We used to work at a trampoline park. Shout out. I don't know if that's a shout out to that, but the reference is pretty crazy. So the storytelling is in effect here. I must have been 8 or 9 the night I fell off, broke my arm. Pretty soon I learned cautious discretion. When your first crush crushes something. Whoa, chat. Oh, is that why they call it a crush? I never thought about that. Hey, yo, that's honestly sad, chat. Again, that's always like been a cute thing. Is the, again, the idea of, because a crush does sound so innocent, and it is one of, it is, I feel like, a little bit more on that vibe, where you start talking about other emotions, and it's like, okay, well, maybe not so innocent here, but you're crushing on somebody, that's kind of cute. But it just means you're gonna get crushed? That's crazy, chat. Taylor Swift out here ruining crushes for us? That's tough. When your first crush crushes something kind. Hey, yo. When I said I don't believe in marriage, that was two lies? 2 lies, chat. We got, she's not busy. She's not busy, and she does believe in marriage. So available and ready to marry, but she's lying? Hey, yo, chat, that's not good. We lie back. Oh, okay, there's lying all the way around. So I guess, it is what it is. Beautiful time lapse. Ferris wheels, kisses and lilacs. I said things, I said things, something were dumb. Because I thought I'd never find that beautiful, beautiful life shimmers that innocent light back like when we were young. Every youngest child felt that they were raised into the wind, but when you're home, and then we're back, because I'm not, and this isn't savage, and I'm never going to let you down, never going to leave you out, so many traitors, smooth operators, so I didn't know that MJ was going to be a center point of tonight's album, and maybe, I don't know, smooth criminals more so, but I guess we'll say smooth operators is a shout out to MJ, chat. Can we log into the Genius right now and put that in the mix as an annotation? Shout out to the greatest of all time. And I think that there are some potential there's Grammy records, I'm sure, that she could, pass him in some, I'm sure. But I feel like there's like a #1 albums thing maybe that might be in the mix. I don't know if he's the highest selling artist of all time. Maybe individual. Maybe there's like the Eagles as a group are bigger than him or something like that. But I don't know if she's just on like total sales on track to get more or not. Or what the records are. But I think there's something with the album title specifically. Something about albums that would be something about albums is going to be more than Michael Jackson's. But so maybe there is conscious references to I guess to that because of maybe that history, her taking over that type of history as well. But ruin the friendship? Is this another? I guess now do we have to say for Taylor Swift, chat? Do we have to say that this is a pop attempt? Ayo, for Taylor Swift, is Taylor Swift now into a different type of music? I don't know. Is she a pop rapper now, Chad? She might be a pop rapper, honestly. There's a lot of rhyming in, and I guess, that's songwriting as well, too. But, it did seem like the schemes are, a little more in that lane. I don't know. And again, she's, really got a potty mouth on her now as well, too. So that definitely makes her a rapper for sure. And she's about to shout out 50 Cent here. Hey, yo, chat, reading ahead in the lyrics. Over his shoulder, I catch a glimpse, and you see, and see you looking at me, and it's not an invitation, but as the 50 Cent song played, should have kissed you anyways, and it's not convenient, no, would have been the best mistake. Okay, wait, I don't know if we got that rhyme scheme right, but I'm just so excited to see 50 Cent's name on the track list that, or just in the song that I couldn't even read there for a second, and not. Well, we still can't read. And it was not an invitation, but as a 50 Cent song played, should have kissed you anyway. So I guess it pivots right there to do a different thing. Hey, yo, is what it is. Don't make it awkward in second period. Might tick off your ex. Lately, we've been good. Staying friends is safe. Doesn't mean you should. Oh, see, champ. She's a rapper now. She's basically a rapper. It doesn't make it awkward. Oh, and run it back. Don't make it awkward in second period. Oh, wait, did I just scroll back up? No, wait a second. I get lost. That's the worst part about scrolling through lyrics on Spotify is when they repeat. And then I just get totally lost. I go, wait a second. Did I already read that? No, actually, they're repeating themselves. Actually, I don't know the song. When I left school, I lost track. Goodbye? We'll never know why. It's not so convenient. No, I whispered at the grave. Whoa, chat. She whispered at the grave at the end of this song. So is that a time jump? Are we skipping ahead in time and sort of life passes by and now we're reflecting on life? Or, I guess something happened here. I don't know. Maybe we don't go to the genius for this one and we just say best wishes, thoughts and prayers, keeping everybody in mind. But that is a tough, again, we were just in school. Everybody was just safe, not making it awkward. Second period, we're chilling, literally just listening to 50 Cent a couple of bars ago, and all of a sudden we're out here whispering in the grave. Hopefully we don't see Barry Keoghan in this graveyard out here as well too. But maybe Barry Keoghan also hears 50 Cent play. Oh, Chad, I actually just backed pause. Hey yo. I can't say what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I almost backed it up into the 50 Cent song, but hey yo, we just to the part of the lyrics there, and I said say skip back on the song, is what it is. So we'd love to run it back, but we'll just go ahead and stay on track for tonight, and skip ahead, and keep listening to where we left off at there. But yeah, we've got actually romantic as well too, and. Do we keep track of all the guys she's listed before Travis Kelce as well? 50 Cent got a shout out before Travis Kelce. Well, I guess I don't want to start, I don't want to start making any kind of like major, speaking of hot takes, chat, but I guess there are no hot takes now. Every hot take's a cold take. So, cold take, chat, I think 50 Cent's on her list. There's a song on here called Wish List. We're shouting out 50 Cent. I mean, I guess 50 Cent's on everybody's list. It is what it is. But shout out 50 Cent's just speaking of guys that can't go, I guess 50 Cent is the man of the people. So I'm sure he, his ability to maneuver through a sea of people that are interested in his time and attention, I'm sure he's capable of it by now. But he would be up there with literally everybody wants to have some but some kind of interaction with 50 Cent if they're running in. I mean, he is Chad. I mean, I can admit it to you as well too. Like 50 Cent would be. I pride myself in being a person that would not annoy. A person that would be annoyed by other people. Like somebody that, a celebrity person that would have people going up to him may get annoyed. But I'd be like, hey, you know what? I can be like, hey, that guy over there, he does cool stuff, and I can appreciate it from a distance. I don't necessarily need to, intrude on his day to let him know if the opportunity arose. Maybe, hey, okay, I'm a big fan. Actually, you know what? I'm sitting here acting so cool, Chad. I would definitely at least walk by and be like, big fan, because it definitely happened at the restaurant. Was it this year? I think it was earlier this year. Some famous comedian was doing a show in town, and he stopped in the restaurant in the middle of the day when it's not busy. And as he was leaving, I was like, can I get a fist bump? Yeah, let's go. So I, make no mistake, I'm definitely being hypocritical here. But again, I felt like that was natural. Like, we got him set up in a nice little spot, kind of left him so he was, he got left alone from other patrons. Again, other people weren't bothering him, and he was walking out the door. It was like, it was a natural sort of, I was gonna say a goodbye greeting. Yeah, a goodbye greeting. That's not a pause. That's not weird. Just a goodbye greeting. A goodbye interaction. That might be a pause. But a farewell, I guess, again, farewell seems, I don't know why that seems a little too much sounding, but, it's just like a sort of a normal exiting the restaurant. There we go. He was just normally sort of exiting the restaurant. He's passing out the door. I'm over by the door. I'm talking to somebody. He's like, hey, thanks for a great time. We're like, yeah, no problem, and then just the fist bump just happens at that point. So, and I feel like that's, if they commit to a fist bump as well too, that's a good one, because you're not like extending a hand to try to like let me grab your hand or something crazy. You know what you're getting with a fist bump, and it's quick, it's minimal, but it's I think a good sign of recognition both ways. So I guess all that being said, outside of this famous comedian being in the restaurant exiting the door that I'm standing by, 50 Cent If 50 Cent was in the restaurant, that would be bad. I might get fired. I actually would get, and I think we'd all understand losing our job if we worked at a restaurant and 50 Cent came in the restaurant. It'd be like, you want to sit at this table? Oh, actually, I was just going on break, and this is my break table. Like, what are the odds that you just happen to walk in at that time? Like, some kind of weird coincidence would just happen to work out. Oh, what do you know? This table is right next to you over here. You want the table right next to where right next to the host stand? Like, and then I can just stand over here and just, oh, look at that. That's 50 Cent. I guess 50 Cent's probably gonna, a little VIP private, pause. I don't know what kind of restaurant we're working at over here, but I guess point being, we would annoy 50 Cent if we saw him for sure. Hey 50, what's up? 50, get rich time. We'd say something stupid, chat. We'd say something stupid. I don't even want to think about what it would be. It would be so embarrassing, but it is what it is. 50 Cent is that cool, and the hit rate is definitely there. I mean, with all due respect to Kendrick, and Kendrick is at the top of, just again, in the entertainment world right now. Even just any, athletes. I guess it's Kendrick Lamar and Quentin Nelson right now. It's like our two favorite people on the planet. So I feel like Quentin Nelson we could actually bother because people might not bother him as much. Maybe outside of Indy, he might be able to navigate the rest of the United States at a pretty decent rate. But so he might, maybe I feel like we could run into him at like a random grocery store, and then all of a sudden we're just like a 10-minute conversation with Quentin Nelson just next to like some, next to the tortillas or something like that. But, maybe Kendrick, he might be left. We might have to leave him alone, chat. Hey, next thing you know, he's going to drop a track and be like, fans don't know how to interact with the celebrities these days. And it's like, oh, what did we do? We just, we turned the whole industry against us. But, I guess, shout out to 50 Cent. So I don't know if that was the point of the drop in the song there. It is what it is. But, again, shout out. That is one of the few celebrities that she has named her. And speaking of, I feel like there's not a lot of celebrity names that you would hear. I'm just making these claims about lyrics. Like I can't, what would I guess, she's dropping diss tracks about guys. So is she not naming the guys in the songs? I don't know. But I'm trying to think, like, she plays on the radio and stuff a lot. I don't hear her like saying other artists like that. Maybe again, it's like those artists that we're thinking of as well too. So I'm not hearing her being like, oh, Snoop Dogg's album on in the background, or Dr. Dre's beats in my head. But so it's maybe it's just specific to certain playlists that we have. But again, I feel like maybe those are, and just a competitive person like herself as well too. Speaking of Denzel, I remember they asked Denzel. We were listening to something they were talking about, an interview that Denzel had where they asked him about it might have been a Rewatchables pod, because I think it was Fennessy that was, shout out Sean Fennessy from The Ringer, that was telling this story about this Denzel interview where he was asked who the best actors he ever worked with were, and he said Gene Hackman, Angelina Jolie, and Dakota Fanning, who are, again, sort of, the point being they were a little bit uncomparable to him as actors. You've got a legendary guy from a different generation. You've got, of course, just a female counterpart in Angelina Jolie, who I guess, obviously ultimately could be compared to him. But again, it's different, and there is a respect there without a direct competition. And more so auditionally as well. Is auditionally a word? Like, more so auditionally where, he wouldn't be competing against Angelina Jolie in the room for individual scenes and parts and things like that. But in Dakota Fanning at the time, and was it Dakota Fanning or Ellie Fanning, or I don't remember. The little girl in Man on Fire, I think, was the other one that, and that's an incredible performance as well too. She's really good in that movie. But it is, of course, that competitive nature of being selective on who you are calling out in your moments like that. So I feel like she is kind of in that realm as well too, where she's not always just like, saying names and dropping things out like that, or whatever. So 50 Cent, of course, shout out, like we're saying, top of everybody's list. I mean, I've said this before. I guess I don't know if I've ever said this on the well, actually, whatever. We've done enough live streams. You can check the tapes and see if we have. I'm pretty sure we have. But I think 50 Cent is the most unanimously liked artist. And I maybe, again, as I speak generally from a hip-hop playlist standpoint. So just of the artists in that world, I guess it'd be like, maybe the number one. If we had to play a song by an artist and it had to hit, I mean, I guess I don't know if we just spoil like what that song would be. That could be like a top, a cold take number one song of the century, or last 25 years, or however you want to phrase it. But again, just his popularity and the quality of his music as well too. There's really no scenario where you need to play a song and you play 50 Cent and it goes well, or it doesn't go well. It basically is perfect for everything. And again, everybody likes him, so there's nobody gonna be like, oh, who is this 50 Cent? Like, I can't believe you're playing 50 Cent. That would be crazy. Nobody would say that. Canceled, chat. Canceled. Taylor Swift, that's the name of the next track. She should have sampled Seinfeld. Hey, yo. Is that a tongue twister, chat? DM us at REMINGTOM. Just saying, I guess, hey, yo, pause. But she should have sampled Seinfeld. She should have sampled Seinfeld. See if you can say it 5 times fast. But, of course, the iconic clip of him on I almost said Larry King show. When Larry King was asking him about, remember when Seinfeld got canceled? Canceled, Larry! It didn't get canceled. There's a big difference between getting taken off the air and getting canceled. We weren't canceled. So maybe she samples him in the lyrics themselves. But that could be fun. Skits, chat. Again, we need her with skits. Taylor Swift, why has Taylor Swift not had skits? The narratives and the stories and all that different stuff. I mean, again, conceptually, I guess there is a world and a theme here as well, too, for sure. And, an aesthetic as well that you do see here. I guess here we can go back and look. And we do, again, have some of the Taylor's versions in the mix. So doubling up from, albums and album covers in the past. But the aesthetic, Tortured Poets department. So, yeah, Tortured, and, even Poets, I guess, has a little bit of a little bit of a grayscale connotation to it, but the Tortured Poets department, and you got a very muted palette here. He has no eyes or anything like that, no emotion in the picture, just all kind of depleted. And Life of the Showgirl, and you got color. I'm sure there's a drowning, submerged, uncontrollable, like can't move type of situation here going on. But again, you got the showness as well too, and the glitz and the glamour and the lights and the color in play. I mean, Lover is definitely a colorful palette in that album, and she kind of goes back and forth, I guess, as well too. I don't know if that's a conscious decision, and it wouldn't necessarily be perfect because that's the question for her. But you got Reputation, a little black and white cover, Lover, a pop of color, Folklore, black and white, Evermore in color, and then I guess Midnight's in color. And then Tortured Poets department, black and white, and Life of the Showgirl in color. So close, chat, close, but not quite. Maybe she noticed afterwards and was like, oh, I should have kept that up. I don't know. She didn't drop a Midnight's black and white edition. Oh, chat, what did we just miss? What did we just miss? We just heard Ruko going crazy. Oh, the Aces just took game 1. Let's go, chat. Let's go. We're going to claim this finals as our own if they take it, chat. Hey, yo. I mean, it is what it is. This is our team, so we're gonna be as happy for a WNBA team that wins this as we can. But we still again want to be respectful of the ones that took the journey. But we're here for game 1, so we're happy that they took this one. It is what it is. They got it by 3. You don't want to say they stole a game at home, but again, just as we were definitely not paying attention in the second half as we should have been. But as just looking at the score throughout the course of the game, the Mercury were handling business for a large part of it, and I don't know if that's concerning going forward, but the 1-0 advantage, of course, is pretty major. Is that Sabale? Tough 3, chat. So is that Kelsey Gray on the perimeter with the defense on Sabale? Denying the pass. She is able to get it up more at the top of the key, but then just absolutely, but suffocating defense on the perimeter, not allowing any good looks. So Sabale, you gotta, of course, the best that you can get, try to get a shot off and see what happens. If it goes, it goes. But that is just a difficult look because of how good of her defense was on that possession. Is this Dana Evans, the bench scorer who has been productive for him this entire playoffs, going to get the bench was major for tonight in stabilizing them out over the course of the game. And she had 21 herself, 5 for 6 from 3. So shout out. I don't know if I'm assuming Asia Wilson ultimately led in scoring here. But yeah, I imagine she was just as important. Asia had 21 herself. So 7 for 16 from the field. Again, the looks, the usage. I mean, she's got to be the focal point, of course. But Evans' efficiency and her ability were definitely there tonight. Ooh, 3-pointers, 14 for, yeah, we were saying, of course, especially first, 3 quarters there, I guess, again, fourth quarter, with the aces kind of pulling away a little bit. And I don't know if the 3-point discrepancy kind of started to even out a little bit there at the end, but they did get 5 more on them here. I'm assuming the percentage would be pretty substantial as well, too. You've got the aces here at a pretty, fortunately a pretty easy 30%. I guess, right underneath, 33% versus, almost 40%, 39% from the Mercury for 3. So that kind of 3-point discrepancy, I guess the free throws for the aces as an advantage is pretty good, but overall better free throw percentage as well, too, for the Mercury. More rebounds. What about the turnover margin? Ooh, so total turnovers in favor for the aces, and points conceded off of turnovers. So turnovers are what we're, basically a big part of the game here for the aces getting out in front. Because, to win that kind of game with the 3-point discrepancy is a nice little steal in this series. So game 1 goes to the aces, chat. There we go. This is a great way to start the series and to start Asia Wilson, again, in that, not just even, again, the WNBA stuff, but it even is the WNBA stuff as well, too, because I guess, I don't know if we go through all the legacies and see, I don't know if they have a consensus GOAT the way that the NBA does, but maybe this is HG the first GOAT for the W. I don't know. Do we have to do some research? We're not necessarily not looking for, obviously we know who the names are. We could form some kind of a list, but I don't, again, know if there is a single MJ, and not to say that there's not a great player. That's not what we're saying. We're saying has a player elevated themselves from the pack the way that MJ elevated themselves from the pack relative to his peers in his sport. And, to use football for an example, obviously amongst the sport, we would regard Brady as probably the best football player of all time, even though you could, debate that as well. You could say Lawrence Taylor or something, Jerry Rice could be better. But, for quarterbacks specifically, Brady is far and away the best quarterback of all time. After, of course, Mahomes almost caught him last year, Brady is now far and away the best quarterback of all time. But running back is a debate. Would you rather have Walter Payton? Would you rather have Emmett? Would you rather have Barry Sanders? Would you rather have Eric Dickerson? Would you rather have, Chat 30 years later? Would you rather have I don't know. But, there is a conversation to be had about which running back you'd want to be. I guess receiver, of course, would be Rice. Defensive line. Yeah, I guess for us, well, they would say, I'm not against anybody saying Lawrence Taylor, chat, but it's just a lot of disregard for Reggie White. And to say that, again, to say that Lawrence Taylor, I get it, by far and away the best. I'm all there for it. I love the fact that we have, again, a figure like that in the NFL that was just so dominant. He's as, as cool of a guy, football-wise, as it seems like that we've had. And just the intensity on the field as well, too. Chet, an all-time dream lineup, of Lawrence Taylor and Brian Dawkins. Make no mistake, that's how I would build my defense, around that kind of a, awesome football, just that attacking mentality. But Reggie White, I think, is a little bit closer than people give him respect for. But anyways, for the who's actually the all-time leader in sacks? Deacon Jones. Chad, nobody talks about Deacon Jones, but him as well, too. Defensive line specifically. But we do got Taurasi. For me, again, Candace Parker, just the eye test is as good as good as anybody has ever played. And, Asia Wilson is already there as well, too. But with her MVPs, and if she gets a title like this could be, I don't know if it's up there with the most impressive titles. I'm sure it would be. But I guess who's a reputable source these days, chat? It is what it is. TellMeTheBest.com, Interbasket.com. I feel like we've had to resort to them a couple times. Sports Amaranth. I don't even know what. I'm not even reading that right. Hey, Sports A Mr. Rath. Sports A Smith. I don't know what that's being said there, but yeah, this would be, and Maya Moore probably the highest peak of anybody, but just of course not the longest career that anybody's had, and for awesome reasons as well too. Just one of the strongest, most important individuals that the WNBA has had in their league, as well as being one of the great players. Oh, and it does say Cheryl Swoops. The Bing AI is saying often compared to Michael Jordan as well. So I guess we're not scoffing at that. I guess, but again, I don't know if people talk about Swoops as that kind of separated from the pack, but maybe they do again as well. So maybe she would be the one. Maybe she would be the one. What are the two sources, Chad? What do we have listed here? Oh, ESPN and Interbasket. So who copied who? These days, it's tough that you have to doubt it. But let's see. So I guess ESPN has Taurasi at 1 after, I guess, and they don't even have Swoops they don't have Swoops in the top 3 or the 4. Maya Moore is 4. Lisa Leslie 5. Cheryl Swoops is 6. So when you're talking about GOAT, there are some areas that can't be ignored. The defensive end before the championships and the player's impact when it comes to the on-court history. And I just realized as well, too, that the album for Swift is well finished. I think it literally just finished because it went silent there for a little bit. But because Fate of Ophelia is fired back up. Do I pause, chat? Hey, yo. I mean, shout out. She's going to get the insane streaming number regardless of whether we listen to it or not. We're not going to be the make or break listen on whether or not this album was a successful release date. But I don't know if I want too much Taylor Swift recommendations on my Spotify. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. So, we're going to have to go back to our old playlist. Let's get the 50 Cent queued back up and just play it in the background. I guess maybe I should switch the background screen as well, too. Get the minutes back up, chat. Hey, yo. Maybe we just go back and play the one with 50 Cent. Should we see what song cues up here? Let me make sure I get the playlist in shuffle first. I mean, I don't mind when I hit the playlist and it plays the first song, but I've done it so many times at this point that I'm almost going to delete this song out of the playlist because of the amount of times I've fat-fingered it from trying to search. I'll click the search bar, and it'll be like, oh, the search bar is not popping up. I'll click it again. Oh, no, it did pop up when I just fat-fingered the first song, or I hit the play button and it's not on shuffle. It's like, oh, this is the song I've played the most without meaning to play. So, unfortunately, I'm sick of it, and it's probably good because, I'm going to be honest, it's on Vultures 1 because of the way the album is sorted in the playlist. It's sorted by albums. It's sorted by artists, actually, I think. I have this playlist sorted by artists. So the little symbol on Vultures 1 album is making it an early sort. But what do you want me to do, chat? You've got Back to Me, the Freddie Gibbs verse on that album. You've got Burn. You've got, I guess, Carnival, which we have not listened to since this album has been dropped. And, I mean, make no mistake, we're not listening to Ye that much right now anyways, and if we are, it's not Carnival, but it's still on the playlist, so it is what it is. I guess, to be honesty corner chat, I guess, and it is, we haven't taken them out yet, and will we ever take the original 3 out of the playlist? I guess we were talking about MJ earlier, so it's a hot take, PY, pretty young things in one of our, is the Thriller album in one of our playlists, probably, but it is what it is. Graduation probably always going to be in rotation. I don't know, but again, if there's been a year to limit down the minutes, and we've talked about it in the past as well too. We don't judge anybody for whatever their music taste is going to be, but you can listen to country or something. We all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, it's just the personal sort of. Unfortunately right now when you listen to him and when just when he's the voice is around, like you just think about more than the music and maybe some past storylines, whatever. Back in the day, maybe the funny storylines, whatever moments and just maybe random stuff would happen would be obviously in different light versus what you get now, and it's just a little bit like, oh yeah, reminded of a lot of stuff that you don't want to necessarily be reminded of. So it's like, okay, I don't know if we're listening to music for that reason right now. And again, I guess it's not, apparently for us the same for these other artists, where apparently we're able to censor it out. But that's obviously due to what you live through in terms of just the news and consuming all that different stuff, and like we're saying, time as well too. because, I mean, like we're saying, I mean, will there be a time where we could, I mean, and even still, it's not like, you get the right, if there's an aux situation over the weekend, again, if something from graduation probably going to get thrown on. But I feel like for the most part, we've, been limiting it. It is what it is. And it's not like, it's not like you go through a weekend here in the Midwest and you're on the aux and somebody's like, hey, we haven't played Kanye yet, like we have to do it. Hey, there's maybe any setting there might just be some guy in the room that's just being an idiot. But for this, you can obviously cold take. You can have a pretty good set and also not play those artists as well too. So again, this is IT cut all that out. I don't know what we're talking about. We went to we literally just went to go playlist to not play Taylor Swift. Oh, chat, Spotify just turned us into I guess they didn't turn us into hypocrites, but they queued up DJ Khaled, Grease, featuring Drake. Oh no, chat. That's crazy. What song do we get next? Rise and Shine. This playlist is too big, chat. Pause. This playlist is too crazy. Rise and Shine, J. Cole. Threat by Jay-Z off the Black Album. We'll pause it there and leave it. Okay, it is what it is. Actually, no, we want to play it because we want to get the minutes back up. Should we set the playlist, chat? LL Cool J. Oh, okay. Joey is back. Oh, chat, they heard us talk about Vultures. We got Vultures 2 in the shuffle. We'll take that out. Open Arms. Okay, little SZA. Chat, it was going to go Vultures 2 to SZA, to Eminem Guilty Conscience, to Big X The Plug. Okay, I mean, you can tell this playlist, and there's times when the shuffle is heat with those artists, and then there's times when you're like, wait, you have every song by that artist saved in that playlist? There's going to be some misses. It is what it is. So, shout out, I guess, to Swift. Again, I don't know necessarily how to talk about the quality. I guess, if a pop album can still be good to a non-pop, a non-pop forward fan, just because it could just be a sound that you like. Again, it doesn't have to check certain boxes. So, did this hit the boxes as a trance? Yeah, that's not for. There'll probably be plenty of people that have ultimate experience, great experiences with this album. Maybe we go back and listen to the Sabrina Carpenter track, because that is kind of fun. I don't know if they've collaborated in the past, but there is maybe a little bit of I don't want to say a passing of the torch moment, but like Sabrina Carpenter, chat. Hey, yo, the rise definitely continues, and I was talking to I guess we were talking a little bit about Bad Bunny on the Pitchfork album review, the Pitchfork list review, and about the potential Super Bowl upcoming nominees. And I don't know, does Polly Market have a 2027 Super Bowl, chat? Hey, yo, that'd be crazy. But she would be, and especially if we were to do like a who's gonna do the Super Bowls in the next 5 years, like who's a new person that could get the Super Bowl in the next 5 years type draft. I mean, she would be maybe the number one pick at this point. Again, with Bad Bunny would have been my number one pick, but hey, yo, I guess because we're cool, chat. Hey, yo, but I guess Sabrina Carpenter would have been number 2 on my board for sure, and then maybe Beyonce at 3 to run it back. But again, that would be if we were going new artists. We couldn't necessarily do it in the same way. We got this Jay-Z on too loud, chat. Hey, yo. We're literally just actually playing Jay-Z in the background. Shout out. It is what it is. I guess maybe that's not a bad thing. But, yeah. So, I guess, and Taylor Swift hasn't done it as well, too. So she would be, of course, a super high draft, because you imagine that there's going to be a world where they work out some way to make that happen. And to have that kind of moment for the league and for herself. Because it is probably at this point, maybe, if not the most, maybe a top 3, 4, a Mount Rushmore current cultural music thing. Just because of her ability to create moments. I don't want to say that, she couldn't create a moment as big as the Super Bowl. Like, hey, yo, that's crazy, obviously. But, I feel like she is capable. If anybody is, it's obviously her. For sure. Oh, chat, look at that. Just a little WNBA playoffs right into a college football game. ESPN, chat. When it's at its best, it's really cooking, I tell you. It is cooking. It's nothing like a little late night college football. I tell you, the daytime programming, I know who says it's, I don't know how important it is to the big term financial type stuff. And, the live rights are obviously going to be the thing that wins the day. But when you can have that day where it's just like the old school day of highly questionable, I guess for us that was old school, stuff that was on when we were kids, but, highly questionable, Around the Horn, PTI, all these iconic daytime shows, and then you're just watching sports at night, And then and you know, back then as well too, I don't know if the Thursday night ESPN college football is quite this. You know, we have to go back and do a history of the rights and remember what was going on there. But you know, just that daytime, that all day ESPN-ness is. I do think that it has, of course, and that's just the way the TV has gone, where you're not going to necessarily go to a channel and just have a channel on all day and doing that through an app pause. I guess, you know, like Sling TV and stuff, YouTube TV and stuff. But I don't know, are people going to YouTube TV and like firing up ESPN? You know, it just doesn't seem to be a way that people stumble on a thing like that to throw on in the background. So it does, again, still obviously dominate the live sports thing as the number one sports thing. And it is, Sports Center is still, you know, a amazing background thing. If we were drafting background things, you know, Sports Center is going to be A+ talent for sure. A left tackle type talent. Maybe it's not as flashy as it used to be anymore, but it's obviously still a pretty foundational piece. But again, it just doesn't have the same all-day factor, and that is, you know, it is what it is. Rem calls out ESPN. It's due to the daytime programming, and that's not to call out, I guess, the people in the daytime programming themselves, but they're not. Well, it's the executives' fault, Chad. They're not being put in a position to succeed. It is what it is. So, and again, maybe there is ways to continue to pivot it into some of the 2025 modern stuff and maybe it's not just a channel in the same type of way. Again, I don't even know how ESPN is you know, what the best way for it to exist in the background is. Because, I mean, you can say that you want to be the primary focus, of course, but I think, again, that's where ESPN is still at its, not at its best, but where it's underrated in terms of, I think, a bulk of the stuff that happens in just terms of the day-to-day is, of course, like we say, it'll just be thrown in the public spaces, like the airports and the hotels and random places like that. But just for the personal consumer as well, too. I don't know what to watch. I need something that is, you know, I need to eliminate choices for the day as well. And I guess that is something that with ESPN, you know, back in the day, there was no choices. So it's like, well, ESPN will take care of that for me. And we are getting back to a place where it's like, are there too many choices? There's so many streaming services and everything is so segmented. That's like, okay, I want to just find one that has a good variety. And again, that's why we really, you know, Tubi, chat. It's like, hey, yo, Tubi has got movies from every era and all kinds of quality levels. And you can just kind of, you know, have a pretty good library. And it's got a good rotation of, you know, good titles all the way throughout. But maybe there will be a little bit of a pushback into something like something like a TV channel as well too. I mean, we all know that that's happening. We all know that Netflix will roll out a feature that'll be like, hey, if you go to this is our action movie tab, and if you go to our action movie tab, we'll always be playing an action movie. You don't have to choose the movie to watch. If you love action movies, the action movie tab always has a movie playing. I mean, Pluto is a little bit of that right now, but there will be that I think push into streaming service. But I don't know, who knows what we're rambling about at this point, chat. Do we take a quick break and then come back and wrap up the show? I think that's what we should do, chat. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Shout out to Taylor Swift, of course, for the new music, chat. We, you know, shout out, great night, lots of fun. But yeah, when we get back, we will quickly wrap up the show. Maybe, you know, a little NFL to end, chat, before we hit the weekend. I think it's appropriate. You know, a good college week as well too of games tomorrow. So, you know, a lot to look forward to. But the most immediate thing to look forward to is right after this break. Okay, chat, welcome back, and we saved this for the end. It is what it is. It's a crazy idea. I don't really know what we're thinking, but, I was trying to enjoy my NFL season this year. I figured, the Colts were supposed to have kind of a tough year, so it was like, maybe we just sit back and enjoy the NFL season if that's even possible. The good moments will just be, just all sort of pause cherry on top of a potential bad season. And we decided to skip fantasy this year. A couple of opportunities for us to, there was an opportunity for us to jump in a league, and we're like, you know what, we're just going to let that just casually kind of just go over there. One, just of course, we were like, do we want to, I feel like for fantasy, we know that we're really going to commit to the draft. And then after that, it's not really a lot of committing week to week to setting the lineup. So it becomes, one, for the competitive balance of the league. Do we just, do we for the greater good sit out? But also, if we know that it's going to be this 16-week, it's going to be more 16 weeks of hassle versus 1 week of greatness. I mean, that's how fun fantasy drafting is, that it's literally worth the one night to fantasy draft for the 16 weeks of hell that fantasy football actually is. But, we decided to go against it this year, and it turns out that actually fantasy drafting is just too fun, because somebody sent us a link for a league 4 weeks into the year and was like, hey, I didn't get an opportunity to be in a league, so I'm just going to start one. And I was like, well, actually, you know what? That's a genius idea. Literally, I guess you can just start a league whenever you want. So we're 4 weeks in, and we had a draft Wednesday night before the Thursday night game of players who have already played 4 weeks. Oh, and there's a Nakua at BYU, chat. Draft him. I haven't even seen him play. Draft him. He's good. Shout out. But, speaking of drafting Nakua, I guess we probably should have drafted him as well, too. And make no mistake, chat, this is the secret to playing fantasy football right here, is drafting 4 weeks into the season, because the ESPN does not update, or I guess maybe you can sort it differently, and maybe I just didn't sort my own personal differently because I just knew who I was looking for in general, and I was just searching for their names. But the way that it initially had the players sorted was the preseason projected rankings. So everything for the first 4 weeks was not accounted in the way that the names were listed. And I feel like we cleaned up in this draft. But again, it could just also be Rem had the best team that never actually logged any points this year, because he was just drafting based on the first 4 weeks and not what was actually going to happen going forward in the season. But there was a couple of times where I was like, oh, wait, this guy is still listed like 30 spots too low and should probably be like way higher. I mean, an easy one that we didn't draft, and I guess let's go to the first round real quick. I guess we got Jonathan Taylor 4th, so in the first round basically played out the way that it should have, but Jamar Chase was still listed at number 1 on the list, and it's like, okay, I mean, I guess we could go point scored and double check. He still could be up there. He's not number 1, obviously Puka is, but you're probably not taking him in the top 4 as well too. And again, Puka went under Gibbs pausing this one as well too. So wait, shout out, which one is shout out Champ with I'm Sorry Miss Jackson, and we got Billy Buckets, Billy's best team. I guess, hey yo, we're just exposing everybody's team name. It is what it is, because I mean, Big Rooster Hawk is too good. So but I always feel like every time we're in a league with Champ, we always just I feel like we're always drafting off the same board. It's so frustrating. I'm sure there are teams like this in the NFL, and maybe it's like guys that were in the same front office, working together, and then got hired into separate front offices. Like, I don't know if, Ballard has a guy that he worked with at the Chiefs, or maybe the Chiefs themselves, where it's like, oh, we're always thinking similarly for the same type of players. Like, there's definitely some overlap, with any, there just will be the random, oh, this guy took that guy that I want, this guy took that guy that I want. But I do feel like with Champ, it's like every time it's like, oh, he sniped that receiver, and now I have to go with a different running back here, and I wanted to build my whole tight end strategy was built around this guy, but Champ just took him like a round earlier than I thought anybody would. So I guess he was I thought he had the last pick in the first round because of the way it was listed on the way when we locked in, I guess, in the draft for seeing the snake draft. But I guess he had the first, so he went Bijan. So shout out! I didn't realize Champ passed on Puka. Hey yo, we're gonna give him a difficult time about that. That's for sure. I guess everybody passed on Puka in the draft, and I didn't even look to see if Nakua had been taken yet, because I mean we were just gonna take Jonathan Taylor. Again, I was like, I'm not gonna try to ruin my season by signing up for a fantasy league 4 weeks in, and then the Colts season falls apart because we were a Cinderella team, and now all of a sudden we're going back to a pumpkin in the last half of the season. It's like, my next 2 months are going to be, I'm going to win 4 total games in real life and in fantasy, and it's just going to be miserable. But I was like, okay, at least Jonathan Taylor looks like he's going to have the Colts again are having a good year. Jonathan Taylor's cooking, so we'll go ahead and give him the jinx. But we're going to take our guy Jonathan Taylor first round. So that makes a ton of sense. And again, like McCaffrey still has to be in a first round type mix because he is just getting that total usage. Like he might be, and I know we were going to look up his yards earlier, but he might be the first guy to get 2,000 scrimmage yards and not get 1,000 yards in rushing or receiving. I don't know how it would be possible, but he might actually end up doing it. Chat, he's 5 games into the year. He has 700 yards. Oh, I guess we're really rounding up at that point. He has 670 yards 5 games into the year. We could do some easy math. 133.8. Yeah, I was gonna say that's not easily the highest of his career. He did have 149.5. I'm guessing this is the 2,000 yard season. Yes, 16 games. The 2,000 yard season. The 2,400 yard season, and we're barely rounding up for that one. That one's not even that generous. Like 8 yards, so half a yard a game. But this season is per game standpoint his best game. But again, his receiving yardage is been at a career high this year. Yeah, 77 yards. He was at 62 receiving that year. Otherwise, he's been in the 30 for 40s, which is, again, really good for a running back. But he's now putting up legitimate... He's not putting up good receiving numbers for a running back. He's putting up great rushing numbers for a receiver, is actually what McCaffrey is doing this year. Pause. So, his fantasy success is still there, and the health thing, he's, 5 games, there hasn't really been, I guess we haven't necessarily looked at we haven't had the injury label thing going over the past couple of weeks, but it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of talk of, will McCaffrey play this week? What's going on? But Jefferson as well, too, top of the league. He's got to be in the mix. But, yeah, Taylor, we felt good. And then, pause, and again, we had to keep it easy for, where's round 2? Oh, over here. We had to keep it easy. So our strategy was we're taking the best Colts player on the board as early as we can, Jonathan Taylor, first round, easy enough, and we have to take a quarterback as early and often. And you see, this is a smaller league as well, too. This is an 8-man league, so you can kind of get draft specific for your league. Take a quarterback early because all these teams are going to be stacked. So you're really, again, it's a draft, so this is what a draft is. But it becomes, pause, how do you want to stack your team? And I feel like it's more important to stack at the quarterback position. I'd rather have, I guess that's what it is. Like, who do you want the elite guys at versus the mid guys? Like, how do you want it, the mid guys? But how do you want to kind of distribute that? And having an elite quarterback, I think, is more important than having an elite receiver this year. And maybe an elite running back, just because, I don't know, you can still, again, maybe get the 80% quarterback value. But I feel like it used to be 90-95%, where and maybe there was just a lack of the dual threat thing, and there would be like one dual threat guy that would just be Cam Newton is just so overwhelmingly good. But the fact that it's a little bit more plentiful this year, it does feel like if you have one of those top guys, they are able to produce so much more stats. And now Mac Jones is outside of the Shanahan offense, able to put up passing yards. McConnell, I guess with the coaching influx as well too, maybe we see a little bit of the just the non-mobile quarterback able to produce the stats in a different type of way. But I guess, regardless, long story being short, we took Josh Allen in the second round, middle of the second round. Achane, Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, and Josh Allen. So sometimes you just like, okay, the draft just works out in your favor. It is what it is. Somebody took Devon Achane before Josh Allen. Josh Allen probably could have been a first-round pick. This is not a 2-quarterback league. It is a 2-flex league. So, 8 people, but at least the roster is a little, a few more spots on it, pause. So, at least you're, again, maybe not, your bench is not like, some stack guys on the bench. But it is a little, benches are pretty good this year as well, too, again, for an 8-man league. But, yeah, Allen is, the quarterbacks, of course, I think are obviously ever important to fantasy. Somebody took Malik Neighbors. I didn't even realize that. Who is Randy? I honestly have no idea who this is. I mean, there is going to be, even in an 8-man league, there is going to be somebody that you have no idea who it is. So this had to have been an auto-drafted pick. This might have been. And that's what I'm saying. The preseason rankings are even worse. I didn't even think about that. Oh, imagine getting auto-drafted a guy that's out for the year. I mean, I guess that could happen beforehand as well. But, hey, yo, I guess you could put him in your IR spot, and at least you have a free roster spot. Hey, yo, just in case. But he also's got Aaron Jones as well, too. Chad, this is the best team that's not going to play. Oh, this team was auto-drafted. Oh, that's tough. So that is a way to conquer. We found the way to conquer the auto-draft team. Hey, yo. Because, to be honest, is there anything more scary in fantasy than the auto-draft team? The auto-draft team is a juggernaut. They plow through the league every year. So if you draft 4 weeks in when some of the guys in the auto draft are hurt and out for the season, then maybe they become a little bit more risk. And those guys get filtered up, to the top of the draft board as well, too, as the draft goes. Because, again, you're not going to take, he's obviously, Malik Neighbors would have been a highly ranked player as well. Tyreek Hill. But a guy like, I guess Pearsall's not on IR. But, yeah, Tyreek Hill, of course, by the time you get to round 7, is going to be easily the best player available. And, he's just going to keep being left available because, unfortunately, he's probably not going to play football again. But this is, a stacked team if all the guys were in. Pause. The Hubbard, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, Rashee Rice, Aaron Jones, and Ricky Pearsall all probably out, 4+ weeks. I guess maybe not Pearsall. But, yeah, this is, great. I was going to say prison yard team, but I guess they're hurt. They're not going. Hey, yo, it is what it is. I guess the hospital, do we need a version of that, chat? A hospital? Because hospitals they'll have like a courtyard or like a community walk around room. I guess they don't necessarily have like a football. Some hospital physical therapy setup might have like a basketball hoop or a basketball court. I don't know if they'd be running like full games or setups. I don't know if there's like some sneaky competitive runs over at the physical therapy spot, but maybe there does need to be a name for the hospital team where it's like, the IR team. Okay, it's not, and obviously, we want guys to be out on the field playing actual football, but it is and I mean, it's a movie waiting to happen as well too. It's definitely a Tubi. We haven't cooked up a good Tubi movie plot line on the GPT in a while. So the prison yard football team would actually be a pretty crazy movie, and it could be a comedy. I mean, it would really be a movie that would be not bound by genre. It would be funny. It would be heartwarming. It would be dramatic. It would have action. It would be a sports movie as well too, because it's basketball, and sports movies are a genre of movie, even if it's not. It's a setting, but it is also, again, a type of movie. But we also need the sequel would be the hospital team, just a bunch of guys in hospital gowns and knee braces and wheelchairs, just kind of, putting around. It's like, okay, they're actually not rehabbed. Maybe it's just like, a montage where they start like a couple guys torn ACLs and some wheelchairs, like tossing a Nerf football like across from the hospital room. And there's like some kind of like, this is like old school corny filmmaking now. Hey, yo. We got like some kind of like fade to where they're progressing the types of, the settings to where they're throwing the football. So and maybe we just keep going over the top. Like all of a sudden they're just, it's like the two tower, hey, yo. But like, it's like the skyscrapers after Fast and Furious cars go through them. And they're like, one guy's like sitting in each window, like after rehab, and they're like throwing the football back and forth, and they just like keep going to more intense locations. It's like crazy stuff. So like, there could be a lot of directions we could really take this. I don't know if ChatGPT just overheard that, so now it's going to cook up that idea as well too. But I guess shout out to Randy's remarkable team. It is remarkable, chat. Just unfortunately, it's more of a what if than it will actually register fantasy points. But he's going to have a good waiver wire spot this year, so, hopefully he's going to have a chance to redo his team. And, of course, again, obviously we're saying we're drafting against Champ, but I think we're also naming against Champ as well, too. I mean, I guess let us know at REMINGTOM Pod. Unfortunately, nobody's got a real cancelable name here. That's good. I'm not saying, obviously, we've never been in a fantasy league that has had a cancelable level name. We wouldn't be in a fantasy league like that. But just, obviously, shout out to the good people in this fantasy league. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But I think the best team names, I think, are definitely either Get Rich or Die Trying. And I guess we don't have a logo here, so And we didn't actually draft Anthony Richardson, but it's in honor of Anthony Richardson. So, maybe a lot more of the try than the rich for our guy. But I think Champ's team name, I guess, is spoiling who he took later in the draft, because I think there's only one Jackson with an X in the NFL. So that would be, I mean, I keep saying, the list, but that's really the pick that I'm going to think about all year that we did not get, because where did he take him at, chat? Ayo. Oh yeah, first pick of the third. So I guess we were going to take him in the third there, but we ended up with James Cook. So we're not going to be mad about that. I mean, you can see our team early on. Taylor, Josh Allen, and James Cook is a pretty scary trio. We're not necessarily worried about that going forward. Bill's rushing offense between those two is crazy. And then Allen, obviously, throwing this year is wild as well too. But I thought if I could go Taylor, Allen, JSN, I'd have the good trio and the balance. And JSN is one of the targets leaders early in the year as well too. London was definitely a list guy for sure. But again, you go to the preseason stuff like Nico Collins, tough start for the Texans offense. Devontae Adams hasn't been on the same page with Stafford yet, and Puka just gets so much targets there that I don't know if you would take him quite in the third round. Again, versus some of the guys. AJ Brown is an interesting one. Do you want to rely on him as your wide receiver one for the next 12 weeks? I mean, I would still, we're still going to be at week 10 and he's going to have like 400 yards. We'll be like, he's going to get 1,200 yards somehow this year. But again, is it just a lock it in, take him in the top 3 rounds? So you start getting him in the fourth. That's actually pretty good value. But you got Hampton even going before AJ Brown at this point as well too. Kyron Williams. So I guess the Nakua Matata is going in on the Rams offense with Puka and Kyron. And again, the usage of those two guys, it makes sense. So I figured the only reason I didn't want to take JSN is because I guess, spoiler alert, and this is what I mean about the preseason rankings, is we got Ibuka in the 4th round, and that is of course preseason, a little bit high, but I think going forward for the year, definitely good value. And this was the point of the draft where I was like, okay, I'm just going to start taking the guys that I want to take and not worry about the board, because I don't even know what it is at this point, 4 weeks into the season. And I also didn't have a receiver. And, we could go through the other guys on the board at this point as well, too, just to talk about going forward in the league. But I figured, the only reason I wouldn't take JSN and Ibuka both is because I didn't want to have 2 Ohio State receivers. So it was like, at least I'll take Garrett Wilson and mix it up. And then I was, oh, wait a second. Garrett Wilson also went to Ohio State. So, Ohio State just got too many good receivers in the NFL. It is what it is. We don't like it. I mean, hopefully we like it for our fantasy team. But I can already tell that pick's going to hurt us. And I guess I'm not mad about not going McBride there. Again, Cardinals offense. I don't know. Steelers offense, obviously. Metcalf had a crazy play this last time. McMillan was another board guy for us. I think, Bryce Young actually getting completions is a little bit of a, how many times is that going to happen over 16 weeks? Maybe a couple. It seems like they're at least maybe turning in the right direction. But if we go to the point to where Mbuka was on the list, the other guys in the mix at this point, Sutton, Debo Samuel, Higgins, I guess this is where Tyreek Hill got auto-drafted, McLaurin. And yeah, I just took Tyler Warren in the 6th round. He was like the 108th player on the board. And as I'm just like, I'm going to take him in the top, we're not even 60 picks in at this point. He's almost a top 50 player. Screw it. Best tight end in the league. Who cares? But you got 2 Washington guys. Again, Daniels off the injury. Maybe their offense is a little bit slower. Zay Flowers doesn't have Lamar for a couple weeks. Again, it's a full season as well, too. You go Jerry Jeudy as an option. I guess if Shador goes in there and turns it around. Adunze, we probably should have looked at Adunze a little bit more. Maybe I'm not mad about Adunze, about taking Dobbins over Adunze though. And he gives us, we had stacked running backs, so we could have really leaned into the receivers. But I feel like that's a trap I'll fall into at fantasy, is I'll get a couple of good running backs early, and that is a strategy as well too, and then just load up on receivers. But I'll end up a little shallow, of course, at running back. And I feel like I can still take that one more running back pick and still even load up on receivers after that. Because again, once I get Mbuka, at least if I have a guy that I can think could be a top 10 to 12 receiver in the league, then any mix of flex guys can, I think, as long as there's good roster management and, good, projection as well too in the draft, then you can make that wide receiver 2 spot work as well. And sticking to good offense is something that is just a good rule of thumb as well. So the Chiefs' offense is on the board. We can get Worthy returning off of the injury. Seem like a good, start to get him in the flex value as well, too. Marvin Harrison was an interesting one. He slid way in the draft. He ended up going, where did he go? I want to say, ninth round. 6th pick in the 9th round. DeAndre Swift, Pickens, right around Pickens' range for other receivers. DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman as well, too. We took Montgomery over Pittman. Hey, yo, chat. That might not have been a good move, just based on a bias standpoint as well. And I did take Dobbs as the Packers receiver. I think none of the other Packers receivers got taken. So they're just still sitting on the waiver wire. I guess they're on bye this week, but we could potentially, go get Golden as well, too, over the weekend if we feel like he is going to be the guy. Because that was at that pick who I was staring at, and I was like, I don't want to have all the Packers receivers on my bench. Hey, yo, maybe that's a good strategy for the first week of this starting at 4-week fantasy team. But yeah, I was like, at least we'll, at least just pick the guy that we feel like we have the most stock in and rock with that. And based on the 3 touchdown performance as well, too, maybe he's got some trade value. I know that that's definitely the highlight of his year, and he's not gonna replicate that. But I was glad that I was able to snag Harvey as well, too, because Dobbins has been good and healthy this year, but of course injuries have been a little bit of a threat. But also just to get invested in that Denver run game as well, too, which has been really good. The run blocking has been among the best in the league. So you imagine who's ever able to be that backup would still be able to be successful. Harvey maybe was able even to win the starting job. Again, going into the season, Dobbins has just been really good. But I don't know if it gets a little tough having 2 guys on the roster where you can kind of overthink which one to play week to week. But I like the security of having both of them. And at least to start, I have Dobbins in the flex. I think it's a good matchup this week. I forget who they're playing, but it's got the green on ESPN, so I was like, we'll just go with that. That seems like a good idea. But I forget who. Oh, Dobbs is on bye. And again, I guess it would be either him or Harvey, because for our bench, we got Shakur. I figured Bill's receiver to go with Josh Allen is we should probably have one of those guys on the bench as well. I don't know if that's a good fantasy rule, but just, I guess, take a receiver that's on your quarterback's offense. And Wan'Dale Robinson as well, too, with Malik Neighbors getting injured, should have been just way higher up on the list. And he's also been just really fantastic to start the year. That is a guy that I'm glad that I was able to snag late in the drafts as well, too. But Woody Marks was the guy that I really wanted to take in this round. I was just going to load up on running backs and just trade for receivers later, even though you can never make trades, but they're going to be on the waiver wire. So I just, I feel like I'm always able to find receivers. Let me just load up on the running backs. But Marks could be a interesting fantasy winner player going forward. So maybe, trade for Woody Marks, the random fantasy vice that we would give, maybe after even not watching him play. But the Texans haven't had a guy to be the starting running back there. And the way that he was at least getting carries in the last game projects as a guy that could, have at least high-level usage as well in that offense. But I guess all 3 Rams players are on this same team, chat. So what did Adams have? 13? Okay, that's not bad. He's projected at 18. Wide receiver 2, maybe a little low, but you got Pickens. If CeeDee Lamb is still out, then he could have a pretty decent day. Maybe actually your wide receiver 2 numbers, and then Adams in the flex. Pretty good. The Marks, Deebo Samuel, Odunze bench is definitely scary. Addison, slid in drafts a little bit because he hasn't played, and we just don't really know what his season going forward is going to look like. But obviously there is a ton of upside there. So this is maybe one of the best benches in the league, honestly. Samuel, Odunze, Jordan Mason, Woody Marks, Kyle Pitts, Rashad White, Jordan Addison. I guess Pitts is the backup tight end. Who's the starting tight end this week? Oh, Ferguson. Oh, that's a good pick, though. You got the Cowboys offense and the Rams offense. Obviously, like we're saying, leaning in on good offenses is a strategy that I would definitely recommend for sure. I don't know why the quarterbacks are projected so high in this league, but I think Allen for our team is projected like 70 points here. Let's double check this real quick and see where is it 70? He was maybe at one point. I don't know. Maybe he put up 70 in this scoring system. for this league. Let's see if it loads real quick. Oh, chat. I don't know. This may be the sign to shut it down. It is what it is. Oh, that box score is empty. I was like, oh, my whole lineup. I didn't set my lineup. Of course, that would be the way it worked out. Oh, well. We're just going to have to go to my team. It is what it is. Wait for it to reload. Oh, no. Okay, so he's still at the 44, around the same that Kyler is. So, yeah, Allen, Taylor, James Cook, Ibuka, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Warren, J.K. Dobbins, Xavier Worthy, Colts defense, Spencer Schrader in the starting lineup for this week. And I mean, of course, I'm a fan of my bench. But the Montgomery pick, I feel like, was a little bit more of a real-life pick. Like, I was like, I need a good backup running back. Let me get Montgomery. Oh, wait a second. We actually need fantasy points. Robinson, we'll just have to see if he can be that wide receiver 1, even though I do think that this could be a league winner move, irrationally. And Drake May, I just love the pick. I don't know if we'll play him because we have Josh Allen. Their bye week's probably the same as well, too. I didn't even check for that. I just wanted to have Drake May on the team. But maybe he's trade value as well, too. Later in the year, we can use him to bulk up one of our spots because, we want to get Puka. We want to get JSN. Those guys are going to be, of course, difficult to try to land, though. And the other one I think that I'm eyeing right now is Judkins. So I'm just another Ohio State guy. It is what it is. Holy cow, I'm going to have to get a Michigan guy just to cleanse the aura of this roster. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't know if is that fair to put one Michigan guy in this this roster with all these Ohio State guys? I can't even believe we're doing this to our own team. Pause. But he does seem to be taking over the RB1 spot and potentially able to get the goal line work as well too in Cleveland. They may not score a lot, but it's like, okay, if they're going to have 1 or 2 touchdown opportunities in the game, they may not go to the receivers. So the tight ends are a good choice, but Judkins may be the number 1 pick. So he's a guy, that maybe league winner style if you have a chance to get him on your roster. Now is the time. Make the trade. Obviously, if he's on the waiver wire, please, by all means, be scooping him up. That means you're probably winning your league anyways because nobody's active in that league if Judkins is still on the waiver wire. But sometimes it happens, chat. Sometimes, you can still find gems, even if the people are locked in. It is what it is. So we'll be locked in, of course, on Sunday, following along to the games. Looking forward to another packed NFL Week 5. Another great Sunday afternoon, hanging out on the Red Zone, hanging out here with you guys on the live stream here on the YouTube. Of course, you can follow us here. You can follow us on the podcast feeds, all the podcast platforms. The live streams do get posted on there. And you can send us a message at REMINGTOM on Instagram if you want to DM us. The DMs are open over there as well, too. So, chat, we did it. We listened to a Taylor Swift album. The Aces won Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. BYU's up 14-0 on West Virginia. I guess they are 4-0. And West Virginia is 2-3. So they should be cooking. I can't believe this is not Colorado, chat. Do we have to look up and see? Is Colorado off this week? Colorado is the Friday night MVP, or they have to be the late night Saturday game. If we're not, falling asleep to UFC, it's got to be really, obviously, it's just Colorado football at this point as well too. Yeah, shout out to Sam Houston. I saw that they were playing the other night, and I was like, oh, wait a second. What are they up to? Because Arch Manning was flexing on them a couple weeks ago, and when I clicked on the box score, they had just fumbled. And I was like, oh, well, maybe that Arch Manning play was not as impressive as we thought. But who are we looking for? Colorado, I guess they're not going to be ranked, but maybe they're playing later. So here, oh, yeah, TCU. Ooh, prime time. Colorado versus TCU. 6:30 on Fox. Okay, Chad. Hey, yo, you can find us in front of a TV watching this game. Hey, yo, I guess who cares about Miami, Florida State, Colorado, TCU. TCU kind of sneaky this year. Colorado, of course, Dion, our guy. Hopefully, Caden Salters doesn't get sacked too many times. It is what it is. I guess Minnesota. Hey, yo, can they do the unthinkable? I mean, hopefully it's not Wisconsin versus Michigan. We'll just have to see. I guess we'll report back Sunday after a weekend of college football and during a Sunday of NFL. I almost said NFL hoops. Imagine, chat. We're getting close. Not to NFL hoops. I guess to NBA hoops. But maybe NFL hoops. I don't know, chat. The Saudis are up to crazy stuff. They really get money involved. I mean, these people will do anything. So we might get NFL hoops if the Saudis ask for it. But I guess we'll have more information on that on the Sunday live stream. You'll have to be here. REMINGTOM Pod. Stay tuned. It is what it is. Otherwise, go enjoy your weekend. Stay safe enough to be back for the live stream, chat. It is what it is, and we will